What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. Yes, week number 3 is ready and starting up now. We're on Invader. It's going to be Soma versus Sock. Game number 1. Alright guys, no longer a solo cast. We've got Shun back in the booth. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Sayan, especially after recovering from feeling like absolute death. So yeah, we're feeling pretty good right now, Sayan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man, and this lineup here is looking fantastic. We've got Sock, Roll, JYJ, YSC, Best Snow, Queen, Soma, and Jaedong. Sock coming out first. You didn't happen to catch that last week, but Sock played amazingly well. Really outstanding performance in week number 2 here.
Yeah, Sock's a really solid Terran. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised if he's pulling off those kinds of feats, but I'm not too surprised in the sense of I know he's a very solid player. It definitely probably a bit more solid than some of the other players we see on this lineup, like maybe slightly a better caliber player than YSC, and maybe slightly better of a player than maybe Saber in some sense. So yeah, Sock's definitely a strong contender, but nowhere near the same like absolute phenomenals. Like we have these lineups of like Royal, JYJ, Queen, so he's definitely not on these levels of players, but he is still a strong contender, I would say, and he's in the middle of the pack in terms of his ability, but apparently he's still got the ability to take out these top names as well still. So
yeah, he I don't know if we're gonna see another series like that from Sock. If we do, we may have to consider him as a contender for the ASL Championship. But, I mean, one good day is something, but if you can continuously perform, that is a whole other thing in itself, truly. You're gonna have to do well, not only in 1 week of KCM, but consistently over time. Then you can prove yourself as a real contender. Now, we've got Sock going for a gas build here. He's going to be popping out some early tech and maybe going for a Wraith play. We saw him versus Zerg last week go for a bunch of Wraith based games against Zerg, and he seemed very, very strong with that. I think we may end up seeing 2-port Wraith here once again.
But the timings definitely line up for that, but he did pull off gas, so he's only mining 1 on gas right now. This could just be a fake out though. He might be wanting to show Soma that I'm only, oh look at me, I'm only mining 1 on gas. It's just a standard little mech play, and he's going to bully the drone out. Now we'll see if the SUVs come back onto gas or not, because that'll be a big tell, because if he doesn't put any SUVs back on gas, he won't have the money to really afford that. But it looks like he isn't putting any more SUVs back on gas yet, so it looks like it's not going to be like a heavy 2-port Wraith build at least.
Yeah, it's looking more like a quicker expansion here. We may end up seeing him go for something a little bit more conservative. Go ahead and get a Vulture out on the map, put on some pressure, force that sunken colony out, and then we'll see where he goes from there. Maybe a quick or a quicker vessel here to bully back the eventual mutas that are likely to come out of Soma. We don't see Soma go for many lurker plays, so I'm expecting, and I think everyone's expecting, a muta play here. Ooh, a nice block on this drone that's trying to throw down the... he's still not able to throw that down. Uh-oh. That's quite late now. Is he going to be able to get across the map here before that sunken's done?
It's about 10 seconds too late, this sunken, so the Vulture actually potentially could slip in, but there is still drones and links to block, so it's not like he will definitely get in and definitely do damage, but there might be a tiny window where maybe he can get onto the right-hand side of these minerals here and be really annoying, so we'll see. But Sunken's going to more or less finish just as the Vulture gets here. He's going to try and get in, or no, he's not going to go for it. Okay, I think he had enough time to get onto the right-hand side of the minerals if he so choose, but he would eventually probably lose that Vulture to getting pinned in by the drones and links, so he probably didn't want to lose that Vulture, instead of wanting to keep that on the map, full map control, and prevent any kind of counterplay from Soma, to make sure that he can also stay on par with his build, because he doesn't want to have to make too many unnecessary units right now, because he's doing like a 1-1-1 build, which is extremely unit light, and he is going for that 2-port Wraith. He is going for that 2-port Wraith, but he's going to do the fast expansion first, Saiyan, so he's going to be the 1-1-1 into 2-port Wraith, which actually could be quite strong still.
Yeah, this is very, very cool stuff from Sock. Cutting edge tank here, going for it. That two-port Wraith, it's worked out amazingly well for him in the past week of KCM, but this is against a completely different monster here. We've got Soma, who is incredibly strong with his Mutalist control. He's going to have his Spire done here before this two-port Wraith really comes into its own here, before it becomes really truly powerful. Picking off an Overlord is great. If he can get one more Overlord here, he might be able to supply block Soma, but the Spire is already done. He is going to have some Scourge popping out here shortly. Yeah, he will get that one Overlord, but he needs to get out of here now. He needs to retreat back across the map and not lose any of these Wraiths.
Yeah, I mean, they are basically like paper airplanes. They will die extremely quickly, and their strength will be in numbers later on, so losing any at this stage would be a very costly mistake. He is now going to be able to get out of the way of the trajectory of these Mutalists, so he won't be losing this Wraith, but if he did stay any longer than that, the Mutas would have just chased microed him all the way across the map and killed the Wraith for free, so he's wisely going to be getting back to his base with that Wraith, and hopefully going to be able to turn the tables on Soma in a little bit once he gets a few more of these Wraiths out. Once he starts getting like 5 to 7, he's got Cloak, then it becomes a very heavily microable situation for the Terran, and he's killing his own Marine as well to free up some supply. That's interesting. Yeah, really cutting all the corners that he can. But these two Scourge going to be flying into the main base. He's only really trying to get scouting information with this. It would be not ideal if he could catch like an air unit coming out of the starport, but he's not really looking for that. What he's really looking for is just any kind of scouting information to try and identify exactly what the Terran's going for here. He needs to like just doubly confirm that there is going to be a commitment to Wraiths, and there is going to be Cloak. That's going to be really important for Soma coming forward here, because he's going to have to really commit hard into this air superiority to have any kind of chance of not just like being completely folded in half by these Wraiths soon. He is starting to lose more of these Overlords, but now that he knows it is going to be Wraiths, he's going to get on top of them with these mirrors and intercept them with the Overlord speed as well, so he's going to be chasing him back across the map. So good play from Soma thus far, not getting too supply blocked, and in the process also going to be able to bully these Wraiths back, and has enough Overlords in position to put on the pressure now. So
oh, the Overlords are in a bit of a precarious position, but actually Soma coming back to defend those properly. Send the Wraiths running all the way back across the map. Nice Cloak here and a turn. He's gonna get some serious damage. We're not moving towards the Overlord either, so one Muta goes down pretty much for free. A lot of turrets going up here in the main because Soma is coming across the map. He's dead set on taking down Sock with this attack. Oh, maybe get another Overlord here would be strong. A lot of Mutas here now. They're going to be coming into the main base. Let's see what kind of damage Soma can do. And how good is the micro of Sock right now? A lot of turrets are coming up here. Good micro so far, dealing a ton of damage. Getting some shots on the retreat of those Mutas as well. Few Lings gonna make their way into the natural here. There's really not a lot of ground support, but the Wraiths still in high enough numbers are gonna be able to deal with these Lings. Once again, coming in here to the main.
Yeah, there's a lot of turrets going down in the natural and the main, but not too many on this like southern edge of the mineral field. So if Soma wants to, he can come in here and try and crack open this shell of Sark here, but it would be necessarily be advisable for him. Eventually there will be a clock coming out with, now there's vessels out, so eventually a radiate will be coming soon, so instead he wants to kind of play it a bit more passively and try and catch these Wraiths out in the open field, which is probably one of the wiser choices, because he can't really afford to commit too heavily into trying to kill the Terran right now. There's just too much cost efficient usage of the turrets. There's like 6 turrets in the natural, and we have a radiate now probably on this vessel as well, so it's going to be an untenable vision for him to keep assaulting the Terran player, but instead he's going to try and use his supply advantage, currently now at 68 to 65, to try and bully the Terran player into submission once the Wraiths are caught out of position and the other side of the map. So he can come in and start killing these Wraiths, and now Soma, if he wanted to, can commit to the main base of the Terran player and start cracking open this position, but he needs to be careful with the Irradiate going to be coming in from the natural expansion. He needs to make sure he does a good Muta split on those, but is for the time being going to be able to crack open all of these turrets very quickly of so many Mutas. There's about 18 or so Mutas here, and here comes the Irradiates from Sark, doing a good job not splitting those Mutas quick enough, so he's going to be doing a good job of splashing down some of those Mutas, reducing their HP, but meanwhile killing all these drones in the main base of Soma as well. So it's hard to call exactly who's ahead right now, but this could go in Soma's favor if he was able to get some Scourge to kill some of these Wraiths that are flying around in the main base, but he hasn't really been able to reduce this Wraith count yet.
Yeah, the Wraiths are getting insane damage. We do have still a third base up for Soma, so he's still mining somewhat here, but he's lost so much. Oh god, here comes the Wraiths into the natural. He's gonna go ahead and micro against this. God, that's such good micro. Able to actually kill off those couple of Scourge. More mutas are popping out though, and eventually I think he overwhelms this. However, so many drones have gone down. He's continuing to radiate. Gonna go after the starports now. This is a very close game here. I'm not sure who is gonna come out ahead. I really wish we would have had Soma build some spores, because this play would be completely shut down by a spore. You just cannot fight a spore with a Wraith and expect to win, but he's killed everything in the main, he's killed everything in the natural and this third base. He's still going after overlords here. Soma has nothing to fight this.
Yeah, he's desperately trying to make as much Scourge as possible. It's very light on the minerals right now, so Scourge is basically the only cost-efficient thing he can choose to make. But with a little bit of micro, Sark's going to make short work of that. The Muta's still trying to do a little bit of pressure in the main base, try and kill what they can, but it doesn't really matter. Sark has to stabilize natural expansion of all those turrets, and he's not going to die anytime soon. So he's currently in an untenable position, losing more and more overlords, more and more drones to these Wraiths, and eventually Sark's going to run away with the game and the victory here. And he has the irradiate energy on these main vessels as well, going to be taking out more and more damage onto these mutas in the main base, completely withering any hope Soma had of coming back in this game. It looks like I think Sark's done it.
Yeah, he's done it for sure. There's no way to break this natural, and there's no way to recover economically here. GG is called. Soma taps out, and Sark, the ace, the MVP from last week, takes down another insanely powerful Zerg player. Probably the strongest Zerg we have on this squad has already been removed from the board. That is crazy. Sark making a name for himself in KCM, man.
Yeah, he's a beast right now. I'm really excited to see what else he can bring to the table.
All right, here in game number 2, we're going to have YSC versus Sark. So sending out the Protoss ringer from last week, YSC was on a bit of a rampage before Sark shut him down. Gonna have an opportunity to take his revenge here on Retro. Let's see what YSC can bring out to shut this man down. Can he actually take a win against him? I feel like Sark's play has been immaculate so far in both matchups, and utilizing Wraiths in both of them, surprisingly.
Yeah, these spawns favor Sark as well, I would say. This is looking pretty good for him. I mean, he has a fairly easy to take third here. He has this choke point on the bridge as well to help deal with the fact that we have the Protoss player in the bottom right here as well. So I actually think this works really well for Sark, getting these positions on Retro, because it's going to be much easier for him to take his third. He doesn't have to worry about expanding towards the Protoss. In the later phases, I'm not sure if the mid to late game phases, it's good for him because the Protoss player can take the top right and have that as a second rally that he has to fight into this huge gaping maw of a center, which is kind of like daunting to do against Protoss sometimes. So I'm not sure if that favors him in the late game stage, but I think the early to mid game, these positions really favor Sark going forward here. He's going to be able to get a very quick command center as well with barracks, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like anytime you have your base kind of vertical and the opponent is Protoss is pointing towards you, it does favor Reaver play. The Reavers can get into that main base or into the natural, but definitely a lot easier to expand to that third here. Since it is pointing away from the Protoss player, he's not going to be able to easily put Dragoons up on that high ground and just kind of bully you away from taking that third, or just slow that down endlessly. And that is a feature of this map as well. Retro has much closer ramps than a map like Fighting Spirit. Makes it a lot easier to take that third, and in this case it's going to be even easier. Well, we've got a bunker coming down here, but I don't think this is any sort of commitment. We don't have a second Marine on the way across the map. Just trying to force... Oh, no, sorry, we have 2 Marines, but no third on the way here. Just going to try and maybe kill a probe or 2. 1 probe is going to go down, maybe a second. Oh, nice, gets 2 probes. Hey, not bad. slowing things down a little bit, and he's got a command center of his own on the way back at home.
Yeah, looking pretty good, I would say. This was kind of like a semi-committal. Like, he understands that it's a Nexus first, so the Zealots will be a little bit slow in coming out. So as long as he forces some kind of reaction out of the Protoss player, this is looking pretty good for him. And he did pull a lot of probes off the mining, and he did lose 2 probes as well. So this actually worked out pretty good for Sark, I would say. This is definitely a little bit of a win for him going forward.
Yeah, it's never a comfortable position to be against a Protoss who goes for Nexus first. If you're not able to break that, generally it's accepted that you're just gonna be behind without the full, SCV pull and bunker rush working out. But he got YSC to build 2 gateways. YSC did not skip on that gateway count, and he killed 2 probes. So I think he's fine here. Absolutely, he's gonna be okay. He's got his factory on the way here now, and things are looking pretty decent for Sok.
Yeah, I mean, currently only just now is YSC getting ahead in supply. Up until this point, Sark was looking pretty healthy, and so I would definitely say he's kind of navigated this small build order loss into a kind of a slight lead for himself. The one thing we can say, like, he has to be cautious about the Reaver play into the main base, like you were talking about earlier. If YSC does decide to go for this really fast Reaver and Sark doesn't kind of see it, then maybe that could be pretty detrimental for him. And we see this engineering bay being built at the 3rd base location of YSC here. I guess also to kind of get a bit of a block on that potential fast Nexus play that Protoss players like to go for, about the 5:30 to 6:30 mark. They always want to be throwing down this Nexi really quickly on location, so that'll be really annoying for YSC if he doesn't scout that. It will kind of force him to expand to the 6 o'clock instead, making it a much easier position to siege later on for Sark. So it would be nice if he could force him to expand there.
Yeah, this is not something you regularly see. A lot of the times, if there's some sort of Zealot rush coming across the map, we'll have the Terran player drop an eBay at the natural to slow that down, but Sok taking that a step further, going and blocking the 3rd base. And look at this. The probe is going to arrive, and he just can't build this Nexus. So this is actually going to work out very, very well for Sok. So I love it. Sok coming up with some new ideas, not only in how to punish or at least equalize after a Nexus first, but also how to abuse the Protoss player here who's trying to grab a quick 3rd as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice little meta thing, and he did do, like, more or less what we expected him to do. He went to try and take that Nexus just after the 6-minute mark. So many Protoss players are doing this. They're taking this, like, kind of standard greedy timing of making the Nexus, like, just after that sort of 6-minute mark. Usually it's about 6:20, but it doesn't matter. They're usually taking it just after the 6-minute mark. So having that timed out nicely to kind of put a bit of a thorn in YSC's side and really mess with the time, the ebb and flow of his build order, kind of being a little bit annoying, and also disrupting any kind of control that the YSC felt like he maybe had in the game as well. It kind of frustrates you a lot when you are kind of forced to do everything off beat and off the usual beaten path that you're so used to walking, and when you're forced to navigate a different kind of jungle path that you have to carve out for yourself, it can be really tough to navigate. And that's what you see a lot of Terran players struggle with, is they get pushed out of their comfort zone, and they can't really handle going off-road anymore. And like this SCV stuck in the little thing there, he's not going to get out anytime soon. That's kind of what Terran players, they get like stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they just get trapped.
Well, this might be useful for him a little later on. No, he's actually going to lift that off and get that SCV back to work. I thought that he was going to build a couple of Wraiths here. We've seen Sok build Wraiths and trap an SCV in some of his games against Protoss in the previous week, and use them to great effect to deal with these very annoying plays. Oh, he gets the first observer. Really, really nice job. But as I was trying to say, is like he picks off that shuttle and removes the threat of the Reaver very early on, and it's paid off huge for him in some of these previous weeks of KCM. But We'll see if he ends up building any wraiths here. He's already got his science facility done. He's getting into his next upgrade and starting to move forward here, inch by inch. I think it's just about time to try and take this third base.
Yeah, it's over the next minute or so, we definitely should see him inch his way out onto the map a little bit, just enough to start getting some ability to... Oh, he's going to sneak out with this dropship. He might actually go undetected here. This could be a really big deal for Suck if he gets out onto the map with this dropship undetected by any scouting forces of YSC. A lot of damage could be done, but I think he is set up quite nicely at his third. But if the dropship goes into the main base, this might be an ideal situation for Suck here. There's like 2 or 3 vultures at least in this dropship. This could be huge news for him. And it is at least 3 or 4 vultures into this dropship going to be coming into main base. Good Sim City from YSC, going to be preventing critical damage at least, but it's going to be losing a few of those probes. And also might be able to get into the main line now with the dropship going to be ferrying over those other 2 vultures into the main mineral line to snipe more and more of those probes. Force with line. The other 2 vultures coming down to natural expansion as well, getting into the natural to kill some more of those probes as well. So huge damage from Sark, really crippling the economy at a key junction right now. So really good news for him.
Yeah, continuing with this fantastic drop play. I mean, this was a big key to his victory and his all kill in the last week. So I love to see him finding ways, finding means of getting these dropships out on the map. He loses it, but one of the big keys, I think, was getting rid of these observers, and he gets rid of another one, constantly denying that vision from his Protoss opponent, making it difficult for him to see these dropships coming out on the map. He may end up producing another one because they have done so well for him, and a lot of probes have been killed now. YSC, he's camped out on this high ground. It's time for Sok to start pushing forward. As we reach the 11-minute mark here, the 4th Nexus going down over in the top right-hand corner, and I think we are going to see him throw down gateways over in that location. It appears to be just a straight-up speed shuttle style here from YSC. Going to be getting into Storm and, of course, just continuously producing Reavers for the time being.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit annoying for Sark coming up into this 9 o'clock position to try and take this with the Reaver play from YSC. He will eventually get up there, but the problem for Sark is that he has to be careful from getting counterattack plays from YSC as he goes in to deal with that. He's going to be sniping this observer in the main base area, so if he keeps sniping these observers, it's a nice little pickup for him. Trying to shut down any kind of vision of YSC is going to be critical in not getting outmaneuvered in the upcoming stages of the game. But it looks like he's going to be trying to edge out onto the middle of the map and try and go for a big push here, see if he can force YSC into an open engagement. There's a lot of speed zealots, though. He needs to be careful. Beautiful fact that he's already laid down mines to kind of protect that flank. If he didn't have those mines in position there, could have just got his tanks absolutely squashed by the army of YSC. So he's very active with these vultures and keeping them in position to repel any attack that comes out from YSC. Now going to be getting this vulture raiding pie out into the map. YSC trying to move his army into the northern threshold to try and intercept those, but now with the patrol micro going to be mowing down some of those zealots on the way en route to the top right, and going to be cutting off some of those transferring probes as well, trying to devastate some of the economy that was already in transition to this top right base. Only 1 cannon on the ramp as well. There's 2 cannons on the mineral line. It's going to be throwing down some mines. Sark now coming into the main base in the top right corner to try and shut down all the rest of the mines that, all the rest of the probes that does do so, laying down a few more mines from these vultures and being as annoying as possible, sending the vultures into the back of the base as well to try and buy as much time as possible. Great play from Sark thus far, so.
Yeah, great play so far. He's gonna come down with the command center here to the bottom center. 6 o'clock is gonna be the choice rather than the center left. So we talked at length about the structure of this map and how he was in a good position to take center left, but with that Reaver on high ground, actually Sokka's gonna decide instead to go ahead and grab bottom center, taking this big wide area here in the middle. Can YSC bust through that though? Mines are being placed. That's actually a lot of mines here and a lot of tanks nicely spread out. He gets rid of some of the observers here. Observers are going to come forward, but there's quite a few Goliaths in this army, and he could gun down that shuttle very, very quickly. So YSC got to be really, really careful about how he engages this, and as he backs away, Sock takes the space. Hey, I think Sock is going to grab this third without much problem and transfer SCVs here. Oh, this shuttle's going to try and run through, but gets instantly gunned down. Damn. Sock is playing out of his mind right now, deleting every attack. He's going to get in here. He stops, kills off some of those Templar, kills a ton of Zealots, and now he's going to dive right into the natural, kill a ton of probes as well. Looks like all of these vultures will be sacrificed, but this is fine right now for Sock. He is building up into that late game army. He is happy to sacrifice some vultures for some probes. With this third base up and running, he doesn't need to move out anytime soon.
Well, yeah, absolutely phenomenal play from Suck there. Just on top of everything, sniping the Templars as well, like after that as well. This guy is playing absolutely like a madman right now. The only thing I would fault him for was his macro is a little bit slipping earlier, but other than that, he's been playing on fire pretty much all game long. He's done a great job, considering how late his third base was as well. Like, you see a lot of Terran players make the mistake of just rushing, taking their third base without really like thinking about how they're going to navigate that, and they just push for the third, they take the third, they don't even think about it, and then something goes wrong. Whereas Sark really methodically took this third base and took it as like the latest possible he could take it, and did so much with just 2 base worth of production until that time as well. So really stellar stuff for him. Now kind of racing ahead of supply of YSC as well. Even though YSC's on 4 base right now, Sark's completely set up absolutely phenomenally well. This looks absolutely awesome for Sark. Positionally, he's in a great advantageous on paper he looks great, and also I think in terms of how he will be able to execute this game going forward, with having the 6 o'clock position and being able to push across the right hand side of the map straight to the main base production and contain this rally point, it's going to be really easy for him to close out this game if he just rolls out right now. So he can force the Protoss player to attack him in the middle of the map, and there's nothing really worse you should be able to do about this. Sniping off the High Templars as well. What do you think, Sage? Is anything YSC can do? We have 2 speed shells coming in right now.
Not if he loses these speed shuttles before the engagement occurs. You need those speed shuttles so badly. It's really the only tech that he has that is actually worth anything right now. He's got mostly gateway units, and then the shuttles with some storms inside of them, some zealot bombs inside of them. If he loses one of these before they connect, he's got 5 shuttles now. He was supposed to have 6. That's a lot of zealot bombs, so he's relying on this to break the push. But you know, Sock being completely methodical, he's got a good number of Goliaths here. He's being super active with those throughout this entire game, making sure he's gunning down everything that he can. His tanks are pretty stacked up here, so he's got to be really careful with how he engages here, because storms could tear this apart. Storms are the difference maker here in this matchup, in these situations. But getting shoved back, losing those Templar. When is YSC going to engage this? Is he going to wait until Sock is like right on top of him? Oh my god. Sock coming up to take the middle? Is that real? Alright, some shuttles making their way down towards 6 o'clock. Actually backs away, seeing the number of turrets. He's got to break this push, man. He cannot allow this to get any closer. D-Matrix here to negate the storm. I love it. Sock shoving right up here into the natural and containing YSC here.
You're doing an absolutely great job. I actually don't mind him taking the middle here. It's a very safe expansion for him to take, and he needs a little bit of trickle of minerals to keep these vultures coming out. There's so many tanks right now containing this rally point. There's a few speed shells here for YSC going to be coming in to try and do something about this push with these setup bombs. There is also some more sonic storms coming down, but there's beautiful D-Matrix coming from these science vessels, negating the majority of that incoming damage, 110 over 2.5 seconds. So there's a lot of damage that's coming out from these true damage spells, which don't even care about the armor of these Terran units, which is why Storm is so good against Terran, because it just has no protection against it with the armor value. So getting pure damage on those tanks is huge for YSC. It's his only hope of really breaking this push right now and this contain. He needs High Templars on the high ground, raining down Sonic Storm. But with this huge economy boon of Sark now, with this middle base secured, it's going to be even tougher for YSC to outtrade him. And now his production line is kind of exposed, and he's getting more and more of his units completely mopped up as they come out. And huge advantage for Sark right now. Currently dwindling him in supply. completely eclipsing him. So I would say Sark right now, it should be absolutely destroying YSC going forward in this game. Huge storm drop at the 6 o'clock though.
That was really close to being every SCV there. He was pulled to the gas, and there was an opportunity to kill all those, but YSC not able to get those kills. I think he only killed maybe like 1 or 2 SCVs, and now raiding the main base here, sending the tanks in. YSC is falling apart, only 124 supply. A lot of that is going to be inside of these gateways, whereas you know, almost maxed out here for Sog. Most of his army is right in the face of YSC here. Everything as it's popping out is getting killed. Templars being produced up in the top right. He did manage to get another production center going up there in the top right, but just not able to deal with that push as it was coming across the map and containing him in his natural. GG. YSC taps out Sock once again on a roll here in KCM. Jadong gonna be sent out here next to fight against Sock here on Dark Origin. Looks like Sock gonna be sending out an early SCV, going for a 9 racks here. And Jadong throwing down his spawning pool. So this is not an optimal situation for Sock to start here.
Yeah, it's gonna be 8 racks versus 9 pool. He can build a Mickey Mouse wall here. So I actually. The big issue here for Sark is how does he get his 2nd and 3rd Marine into a safe position, because he's going to be able to have at least 1 Marine in the safety of his wall, but once Jadong starts to put on pressure at the front door here, it's going to be a little bit tricky for him because the Marines are going to be spawning on the outside, so there'll be a little bit of pressure here from Jadong. I don't necessarily think that Jadong's going to do a full committal here. We'll probably see just 6 Zerglings into expansion from him, so this will just be like a little bit of a repair bill that Sark has to pay, probably, so it will be interesting to see how they both navigate this early game. I imagine it's probably going to even out fairly equally. I don't think that either player will have a significant advantage going forward. It depends on how quickly Sark can identify and respond to these first 6 lings that are hatching out. And he has got his really early SCV scout, so he should be able to navigate this just fine. But he needs to be careful he doesn't lose his first Marine to this drone, because potentially this drone could block the supply depot from going down as well. So he needs to make sure he bodies out this drone, but doesn't want to lose any HP on this Marine either. So a little bit of a mini game from both players here. Going to be blocking this hatchery from going down as well. It's his SCV, but might be losing it to the links. He's be careful here.
Yeah, it's going to be able to lift off and land that barracks with 2 Marines behind. That should be enough with some good target fire to push these lings back. I don't think that Jadong will continue with this play. The plan here from Sock was actually to get some early damage done to Jadong, so you know, he sacrificed his economy a little bit here in the early game. He will be able to get into his command center though now. And with only 2 Marines being forced out, I don't know. I think this evens out pretty well, as you said.
Yeah, I don't think either player really gets a significant advantage here. I think this slightly favors Sark, but because the Marines are spawning on the outside, he can't really increase his Marine count for some time. I think it evens out quite nicely. He only just now will start his Marine production, so I think overall this will... if Jadong could, if he wanted to, try and put on some pressure and try and kill this 1 Marine and then try and kill the other Marine as it comes out. He has an additional Zergling, so what he can do here is try and wait for these additional Zergling to come in, then try and kill these 2 Marines that are up against the supply depot. That is a possibility for him. He could also then time that with the other Marine coming out. So here he goes in for this little pincer. He's going to be trying to kill off these 2 Marines, and he'll back away, which is a pretty wise choice from him. It does put him slightly ahead, actually, especially if he's going for this sort of like 2.5 hatchery muta play. So I actually kind of like this from Jadong, especially because he's limiting the options of Sark here by reducing the Marine count. Kind of negates a lot of the potential early timings from him as well, so it makes Jadong a lot safer and able to optimize his build here. So I think this is overall a slightly Zerg favored situation.
They could leave these 2 lings out in front of the barracks as well and just try to pick off any extra Marine that pops out, but instead he's just going to track down these Marines. He sees that they are returning home, so he's not going to have to produce too many more lings. Looks like he did pop out another 2 just in case Sock was serious about coming across the map, but From now, it's just going to be full-on drone production. We're going to see that 2.5 hatch thrown down and a muta build coming out from this. Going into a pretty normal game from this kind of weird start.
Yeah, and more or less the similar from Terran's side. It's just going to be like a two barracks academy, just with the unorthodox start. And that's what you'll see a lot of these pro gamers do. You'll see them more or less try and go for the same objectives as you would on the ladder. It's just they're going to navigate that tech path in a lot different of manner than you would usually do, because there's a lot of mind games and little skirmishes and mini games that happen in the early game phase to try and get a little leg up over your opponent, because they're both so good at the normal way of playing the game, and they've walked that path so many times that they kind of like try to get an advantage over one another by like jostling for position and trying to outmaneuver them, because they know the beaten path so well that they want to try and cut a shortcut through the jungle and like get a little bit of an edge over their opponent if they can.
Big scan here from Sock. He sees Lings are popping. He may end up getting trapped here, but look at that. Tucking his Marines against this wall in. Oh boy, backs to the wall here. Marines are going to do very, very well. Lings come in to try and cut down this Marine number once again, but not really getting the best trade there. Jaedong shoved back once again. More barracks are on the way. We're going to have a 4 racks play. Very, very popular in today's day and age. A free Marine wandering out on the map does get picked off, but I think overall Sock doing a good job handling this early Ling aggression. There's not too many drones here for Jaedong. He's going to be sending his first few mutas across the map, and we'll see if and when he decides to go for a transition here. It's going to be a little bit less powerful than had he popped out drones rather than those Lings earlier on.
Right, and I really like this from Sark. He's got a zoning turret already going down at the bottom of his ramp. He really needs the zoning turret. It's super important. If he didn't build this turret here that the observer just clicked on, he'd be in a little bit of trouble here from Jaedong, and Jaedong could really exploit this open position in the natural. So I really like that Sark just didn't even hesitate, just threw down that zoning turret at the bottom of the ramp, just like Flash would, and just didn't even bother making any cuts. And now, though, needs to be careful, starting to lose SCVs one at a time. There is 7 mutas, enough to kill SCVs with a one shot. A little bit of this micro, uncharacteristically, from Jaedong. Going to be losing that muta and not able to snipe that. But needs to be careful on the retreat. Beautiful play from Sark in position to catch those mutas as they on the escape trajectory from the main base. So already on top of everything, going to be scanning down the 3rd base location. Just as Jaedong's going to be throwing that down as well. So Sark really on top of everything so far in this game, doing a good job of weathering the storm of Jaedong. Currently playing at 450 APM with these mutas, trying to do what he can to find what damage he can. But so far, absolutely aligning himself perfectly to this aggression from Jaedong in the early game. Now starting to slowly trickle on more and more of these mutas, going up to a count of 11. Probably won't be trying to commit to too much aggression here, but we'll be trying to skirmish with these bioforces for the time being while doing a tech switch into lurkers.
Yeah, the tech switch is on the way here. Jaedong, I don't know about this just going straight into Hydra here, or going straight into Lurker, because how are you going to defend that 3rd? That 3rd is not a high ground base. It doesn't have a ramp. It's going to be very difficult to hold off, a lot of Marines coming around the side there. Ooh, getting in here between the rally points, managing to pick off a few extra Marines with some Lings and mutas, but he's got to be very careful about engaging with this, forcing out more stims here, fighting with this Marine medic ball as much as possible, skirmishing that down as much as he can. He's gonna have to remove this medic Marine force, I think, from the map if he wants to stand any chance, I think, here, because the lurkers, like I said, you're gonna have to have such a spread of lurkers to defend. There's no real good spot to try and hold a ramp or anything like that. What are we gonna do here for Jaedong?
He has to hold the bridges, more or less, saying it's gonna be a little bit tricky for him to get set up. He's kind of Jaedong chose to be really fluid in his mutalist positioning here. He should have stayed behind the bio ball to try and pick off stragglers, but instead he was worried about losing the control of the bridges, so he kept his mutas very passively in front of the bio ball. But now he's going to be punished because now he's given up too much ground to Sark, and now Sark's already at his door, at his gate, ready to beat on it, and he's got these ramps he could push across any moment. There's a strong mutaling force here, though, so if he does try to move across the bridge right now, Jaedong has enough units to counter that, so Sark, wisely, not going to be pushing across those bridges anytime soon, but needs to be careful, because now that these bio balls all blobbed up like this, he can trade pretty well against these mutas. Jaedong, though, doing a phenomenal job of shaving off a lot of these bio units in the center, and considering they're already in square formation like this, and Jaedong's already able to trade this efficiently against that big bio ball, I'm kind of impressed by that. Usually once the Terran player are in tight square formation like that with like 2 control gates with plus worth of Marines, usually you don't want to engage that, but Jaedong's showing that it's still possible, so really stellar micro from him, still playing over 400 APM, going to be switching into Hive now, going to be needing to get into those Defiler units. Now we're seeing the science facility just about to finish up for Sark as well, going to be needing those science vessels coming out in about 11 minutes. He should be having a Radiator online, which he'll need to do so because Jaedong's going to get absolutely online and be a monster to deal with if he doesn't do something soon.
Yeah, Jaedong going around the left-hand side of the map with some Lings and Mutas, looking for a counterattack, it looks like. Maybe gonna head over towards this natural, but Sark already on the retreat here, getting just over the bridges right now, and has a Marine Medic force back at home as well. It's gonna delete one of these turrets. It's been messing up his gas mining here in the natural, so getting rid of that turret, he will be able to mine enough gas to produce double science vessel pretty comfortably from now on. More drones popping out for Jaedong here as he continues to increase his production. Oh, this counterattack now coming in, gonna catch a bunch of reinforcing units here. Unfortunately, gonna lose that Muta, but that was a great attack there by Jaedong, just kind of reducing this force, slowing it down as well. Now, as the Terran player moves across the map, lurkers are already going to be finished up here, and yeah, I think you're right, just gonna hold the bridges, but there are 3 bridges. It's quite a lot of space to try and control here. I don't know if there's going to be an opening for Sark, but I think that if there is, it's going to be on this 3rd base.
Right, I think the real selling point is going to be, how does Jaedong want to navigate taking his 4th? Is he just going to leapfrog Dark Swarm all the way up to this like 3 o'clock position here and just take this as our 4th? Or are we going to try and take one of these corner expansions? Like, I'm curious what expansion path Jaedong wants to take here. He's going to want to be taking this 4th gas within the next few minutes, so I'm curious to see how he wants to navigate this. So far he's doing a good job of controlling the map with these mutas. He's keeping them unstacked right now just in case an irradiate came in, but he's got a lot of lurkers here to hold these ramps, so I don't think he's at any threat of dying or taking any kind of economic damage for quite some time. So it looks like Jaedong's expansion is going to be in the bottom left as well, so I kind of like this. I think this is probably one of the best option for him in this current situation. He definitely could have tried to take the 3 o'clock, but I don't think it would have been wise. It's way too wide of an expansion to try and hold, especially since we get attacked with the high ground, but low ground. So now Jaedong coming into main base, so it could be delaying some of these buildings going up. It's actually quite annoying to have this command center delayed even a little bit, because the third timing of the Terran, once he can get away with it any time right now. There's no real pressure from the Zerg that he needs to worry about, so he can just take his 3rd right now. So having that delayed by even any time at all is actually quite frustrating for him, because he needs to get a 3rd gas online to start combating this Zerg, who's going to be going up to 4 gases momentarily, or you're going to having Defilers now throwing down Dark Swarms on this right-hand side, so completely shutting down any kind of aggression coming from Sark as well.
Ooh, looks like maybe some hold position lurkers here. No, they are not on hold position, but they're going to get some kills nonetheless. Muta's coming into the main once again, slowing down this command center. Maybe he could actually force the cancel here. That would be huge. No, Marines are going to come up to support. Jaedong not paying attention to this. He loses a couple of Mutas, but he kills the SCV once again, denying that base. Stack of lurkers here down at the bottom left-hand corner. This is the altered version of Dark Origin, so there's no other pathway except for this ramp here to get down into that bottom left. You can see the center, or the left-hand side, that path has been removed. And this base has become a lot easier to hold. So Jaedong taking advantage of that change. Going to be holding that base from the high ground. We've got a Nidus network completed. As soon as that base finishes, he's going to connect those to Nidus. That Nidus down to the bottom left and hold that base here with some Defilers and some lurkers. Plague comes out, but not the greatest plague here on just a few of these Marines. It was a great split and attack from Sark. Now his units are really stacked up there. Perfect situation for a plague, but looks like Jaedong just doesn't have it. Coming out with some Hydra and Ling here. Looks like he's transitioning fully into Hydra Ling, Hydra Defiler. Scourge almost getting some good connections there. Managed to kill just one science vessel, and the Hydra switch is in full swing now. Knight is down here in the bottom left. He's on 4 gases. He's going to be able to produce so many Hydras and Defilers off of this.
Yeah, the Hydra Ling Defiler is just like the most cost-efficient setup you can really get against Terran, generally speaking. So yeah, he's going to be really trading well against Sark going forward here. Is Jaedong already doing a good job of securing this center map? There is some dropships out, but they're spotted by the Overlord. So now Jaedong's fully aware of that beautiful play coming down on those vessels and Marines. Now Sark in full retreat as Jaedong surges forward, picks off the side vessel. Sark is not on top of things today, saying he's in a little bit of a trouble here. The dropships now swinging around to the western side of the map, going to be trying to head down to the left-hand side of to the bottom left base to try and take out some damage there. Maybe he can do something to Jaedong and try and secure some kind of advantage. But if he doesn't do anything with these dropships, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Here come the Jaedong with the Hydras as well. I think he tried to intercept the dropships. He knows that the dropships are down there. He could get on top of them if he was a little bit quicker, but so far Jaedong's going to swing down to the natural expansion. Jaedong also running down to defend that. He has a Defiler and some Hydras here as well. Could be throwing down some Dark Swarms to deal with that. Oh, beautiful interception from Jaedong. Going to be reducing some of the damage here. Some Firebats going to be trying to mow down some of those drones. Does a good job of that. Another Dark Storm coming down into the main base, preventing some of that damage. But now Sark getting on top of the drone line in the main base will be taking at least a good amount of these drones down. Jaedong doing what he can to try and get into the main base with what units can. Sark was rotating back out with to by the third base, heading north with those drop ships after dropping off all the units into the main base, doing what damage he can. And these units are trading very well. And now these drop ships scooping up more units to come in and reinforce his position down here. Jaedong in a little bit of trouble as he tries to stabilize with this kind of haphazard defense. It's really annoying to come down and deal with bio units. They're so strong in small numbers, so Hydras aren't really fighting well when you haven't got the support of those the Defilers that you usually need. Sark doing a great job of picking apart Jaedong right now, saying.
Yeah, this game is getting insane right now. It felt like Jaedong was all over him with the Hydra Defiler. That push across the map was so good. And now Jaedong actually going to get up in here with a Dark Swarm and a few lurkers onto that third base, pushing everything away. This is a dead base here unless he manages to pick that up and float. Another drop into the natural, killing even more drones. Sark really making this into a crazy one. But, I mean, most of this has been cleaned up, and Jaedong's going to get back to mining here. He has still tons of Defilers. He's still got 4 bases. When all the dust settles, I think he's going to be okay here. Throwing down some Dark Storms. He needs a Dark Storm and a Plague to fight this army. Hydra's not going to trade well without that Dark Storm. He lets all the Hydras die. Uh-oh, that's not good. All the Hydras are dead, and he's going to run straight up here into the natural.
Wow, I can't believe Sark has just flipped this game on its head. What a beast, what a specimen. Absolutely destroying Jaedong with this like special forces style play. Like he was completely outmatched by Jaedong in terms of position momentarily, and then all of a sudden just started like flipping the script on Jaedong even after those great plagues and surging forward with those Hydras taking out all those vessels. He lost so many units for free and still managed to somehow find some damage, some way, somehow. The Sark attack just absolutely on top of everything this game. I'm kind of shocked by his absolutely stellar play. Like he's really showing his caliber and like coming into his like element right now, saying.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see. Sark gonna come in here one more time towards the natural. He's taking advantage of the weakness here from Jaedong after all of this chaos has been going on. He hasn't had time to fully rebalance here in his naturals, building up a bunch of lurkers. Once these are down and in position, he's going to be able to defend more strongly here, and all of these are going to die, forcing everything back. Sark retakes his third base, but I don't know, man. Let's take a look at the science vessel count as kind of a proxy or an indicator here of how Sark is doing in this game. He's only got two science vessels. Okay, there's another 2 there, so 4 science vessels in total. A lot of those have been picked off throughout this game. More dropships out here, unless these are the dropships from before. I'm not sure if those were picked off, but drop play is probably the only way that Sark can make this work at this point. Factory is down. He's eventually going to transition into a factory style with lots of tanks coming out, but that's not quite happened yet. Another couple of vessels go down here, trading out just a couple of irradiates, and this is becoming really hard for Sock. He's going for the main base. Can he actually get in here? Scourge are on their way. He's gonna get one of them. Oh, he's gonna actually get out. He gets all the units out of this. Crazy that those those weren't able to connect. Those Scourge just didn't want to attack there. That is wild. The Marines here in the main are gonna be making a stink while this attack comes running by. Sock's just gonna run by these lurkers. Are you kidding me? This is crazy. 4 or 5 lurkers just completely ignored there at the natural. He's gonna try to trade the best that he can here in the natural. Most of those are gonna be cleaned up. Another drop coming through. He's gonna drop behind the natural minerals. Another run by here for Sock. Jaedong just slightly out of position with those lurkers. He's getting a lot of damage here. This is an unreal game right now. But Jaedong is pulling ahead in supply. Everything is getting cleaned up eventually. And a lot of these vessels have gone down. A lot of the dropships have fallen as well. And now Jaedong's starting to push on the map. I think he's finally gotten himself into a position where he can start to put the pressure back onto Sock.
Yeah, it's 2-2 upgrades for Jaedong up against a 3-1 of Sark, and it's looking like it is a bit of a Jaedong favored game right now. If he can just somehow get in there and start trading cost efficiently, but right now Sark does have a little bit of a positional advantage with these bridges. He can hold these bridges for some time, but the problem is that once the fighters get across the map, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold. So now we see Jaedong putting on the pressure, gets the Dark Swarm into this third base, and this could be a little bit of a checkmate move here, because once he shuts down mining at this third base location, it's going to be really hard for Sark. He's currently not mining in his main base or his naturals. This is his only mining base, and whereas Jaedong is mining kind of happily on like 3-4 bases worth of production here, so shutting down his mining base is big news for him. Just like Sark trying to rotate down to the southern threshold. And then could be GGing out though. Is Sark. It's Jaedong slaying the beast finally.
Jaedong takes him down. That was a very impressive Hydraless Defiler game on Dark Origin. I think that Sock really made it kind of wild there in the mid game with the 4 dropships. He gave himself a very decent chance of taking the game, but Jaedong continuously producing, continuously keeping up with his Hydraless play there, keeping his lurker number high, and also picking off the irradiates there, picking off the science vessels over and over and over again, eventually able to weather the storm. He shuts down Sock and will move on. I love to see Jaedong get a win here. Let's go on to the next game. Snow gonna be our next player here to hit the stage, going up against Jaedong on Neo Sylphid. Jaedong on fire, able to take down Sock there. You know, usually before last week, I wouldn't have been surprised to see Jaedong take down Sock, but after the way Sock has been playing, that is a serious achievement.
Oh yeah, I mean, even though he lost to Jaedong, he still put up a phenomenal fight. I mean, that was exceptional performance from him. If he hadn't lost those vessels for free, I think he even takes that game. Like when Jaedong got the plague and they got the vessel kill, follow up the Hydra. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like Sark is just playing like something different recently. We have to keep an eye on him for sure going forward. But now we got a new game, new players. So going to be Snow spawning in the 12 o'clock position on Sylphid, like you say, going to be playing off that gateway first. He really does like this kind of style of play. It's very respectable way of playing as well. You don't necessarily have to try and commit to do damage with it, but definitely allows you to set up for a stronger mid-game push at the very least by having a higher Zealot count, so allows you to have a bit more flexibility going into that early to mid-game phase. And we'll be wanting to take his Nexus very soon, despite going for this early gateway, so I believe that Jaedong will most likely not go for a 973 here, because you can't really line up a 973 against Gateway first unless you do significant damage to the Zealots in the early game, and I have a feeling that Snow won't put on too much pressure onto Jaedong after the first 1 or 2 Zealots. We'll have to see.
Interesting. Look at that, taking the natural gas. What do you think is the thought behind that? He's trying to hide that from Snow,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, he's just hiding the gas timing. That's all it is.
Now we've got 3 sets of lings coming out here. The Zealot is about to make its way into the natural now, so lings are going to be out in time to defend against this, but he is going to be able to force away these drones. Since he did take the gas at the natural, he's not going to be able to mine off of that for a little bit here until actually the lings clear out this Zealot. So he's going to get in there. This is a little bit frustrating, only able to hit with 1 single ling on this Zealot. So the Zealot's going to trade out for about 4 to 5 lings. Already taken down 4, gets a 5th ling, and there we go. He finally does go down, but 5 kills. Pretty rough to trade that many lings for just 1 single Zealot, but it had to be done.
Yeah, it's really rough. I actually think this went really bad for Jaedong. I'm surprised he didn't map this out better. I'm sure he prepared for this correctly. He should have had some kind of game plan on how to not let the Zealot get into that position there where he could trade so efficiently. Like, losing 5 lings for 1 Zealot is not a position you want to be in early game, and those lings were definitely not going to get out in time for that Zealot to get there anyway, so a little bit questionable decision from that. I'm sure there was some kind of preparation that went into that maybe kind of glossed over some possibilities from Snow there, but I still think it was a little bit questionable from Jaedong. Maybe some issues in his preparation. But we're probably going to be seeing the standard timing from Core, from Snow, going into probably a fast Stargate to confirm exactly what we're going to be seeing out of Jaedong, and it will be that sort of like 3 base Spire play probably from Jaedong going into 5 to 6 Hatch Hydra as a follow-up.
Yeah, we don't see a second gas just yet, so probably not a meta play here. Just a few Scourge to deal with the Corsairs, but the lair was pretty early. It's giving me pause here. I'm not sure if he's going to actually go for muta here. We'll have to wait and see if another gas pops up in the next few seconds. Now it's looking like a Hydra build, as you said. We'll see a few more hatcheries coming down here shortly, and eventually getting into that Hydra den and those upgrades. Stargate coming up here for Snow. Doesn't have any information on the map right now. Not willing to send his Zealots out to die because there are quite a few lings on the map. Citadel coming down. He's just kind of going on faith here. And what he's seeing is indicating that there's not going to be a 973.
Yeah, I mean, he's fairly confident that if it was a 973, he'd probably be able to at least fend it off initially with the Zealots to buy some time. The only issue is that he hasn't really scouted diligently with probes or anything leading up to this. So if it actually was a 973, he might be caught off guard by it in a strange way. Like, the way he's played actually would probably lose to a 973, but I feel like he's very confident there's no way Jaedong would attempt something like that, because if he even remotely gets scouted by Snow, then it just won't work. So there's no way Jaedong should commit to something like that. You could make the argument that that might be the reason why Jaedong would try something like that, because it wouldn't be expected, but it's going to have a very low win percentage compared to what he would be doing now, and doing something a lot more skill-based and less luck-based, and focused on just how well he can execute the build. Is a lot smarter way for Jaedong to play, but he needs to be careful. We're going to be losing potentially one of these overlords, which will start to supply block him if he loses any more than 2 or 3, but he actually made quite a few overlords in advance, so won't be getting supply blocked as long as he doesn't lose another single overlord. So pretty good from Jaedong. Not going to be getting supply blocked as a result. Is going up to 6 hatchery production like we thought. So yeah, I would say it's actually not too bad for Jaedong, as long as he doesn't take any economic damage here as these Zealots start to come into the natural.
Yeah, this is a little dangerous right now for Jaedong. He's going to have to rely on some finesse here with the lings, making sure that he gets good trades, gets good surrounds on these Zealots as they come forward, and the drones are going to have to be pulled as well. Looks like he loses 1 drone, but holds on. Cancels that evolution chamber as well. A very handy evolution chamber to throw down there during that attack in order to cut down on the surface area. 1 Zealot making its way into the 3rd. May be able to pick off a couple of drones. Looks like it was right-click there, and will end up getting picked off by these lings. Massling over here in the top left, actually cutting down these zealots as well. So a great hold here by Jaedong, honestly. He didn't overcommit with Lings. He didn't build, you know, a bunch of sunken colonies to hold this off. He just built the very bare minimum of defenses, and everything else has gone into drones here, and you can see from his drone saturation, it's really paid off.
Yeah, Jaedong's looking phenomenal, and he's going to have a little muter switch now as well, so he's going to be able to snipe off some of these potential High Templars coming out soon, which is going to be great, because like around now is a High Templars on the way for Snow. He's going to be going up into 7 to 8 gateway production, putting on a little bit of pressure onto Jaedong while wanting to expand behind it. But now that we see Jaedong going for these muters, it'll be interesting to see if Snow has identified that there's this potential threat of like losing a lot of these Templars. Yeah, he definitely identifies it. Okay, so he's got the Archon coming out right away, so he understands that there's this big threat of the Ogre Zerg counterattack, which is a really strong possibility from Jaedong here. Having access to the 3 gases and having all of that lava from so many hatcheries is really scary for the Protoss player. You need to take that very seriously. So going to be going up to like 5 to 6 Corsair at least. Make sure he can one-shot the Scourge. Also has the Archon to act as a bit of a point defense for those Corsairs as well, to protect them from the Mutalisk as well, so they just get like completely destroyed.
So gonna come forward, looking for an Overlord. Oh, a big shot from the Archon onto these Mutas, dealing a ton of damage. Still has to be careful with the Scourge, though. Scourge making those connections, picking off a couple of these Corsairs. Corsairs are very low, but with 5 still able to get in here and kill a few extra Overlords. Supply blocking Jaedong for now. Is just going to abandon this position, waiting for more Scourge to pop out of the main. As those Scourge now coming forward here, he wants to pincer attack this and try to pick off as many as he can, as many Corsairs as is possible. We haven't seen any Hydras out of Jaedong just yet. Trying to rely on the air defense here. Really nice position on this high ground, though, with the 2 sunken colonies. You are not getting up there.
You are not getting up there, so not at all. Yeah, it looks like Jaedong's not going to die for the time being, but we don't ever see a 3rd base coming out from Snow. But it looks like he's going up to more and more gateways as well, so... Okay, looks like both players going to be wanting to commit to trying to find some good trades here in the next coming phase of the game. So many Scourge ready to try and flock and overwhelm these Corsairs, but they do have this Archon for point defense. Going to be coming to natural now, trying to kill some of these others. They don't have a speed upgrade. It is Hydra's coming out to try and help defend that, but now the flood of Scourge is coming in to try and catch those, intercept those Corsairs, but not able to do so. Beautiful play from Snow, going to be diving back to the safety of that Archon. Needs to be careful though not to lose these Corsairs in the next coming phases of the game, because if he starts to lose any of these Corsairs, he has to dump more and more gas into that air superiority then again, and that would mean he wouldn't be able to produce as much High Templars and such, and not have enough Storm to deal with the follow-up Hydras. So does a good job, does a great job from Snow, not using too many of those Corsairs. Only lost 1 Corsair so far to those Scourge. Great job from Jaedong though, putting the pressure on and taking a lot of free damage with those Mutalisk Glaives onto those Corsairs, reducing the HP further, to putting on a little bit of pressure to his 3rd base location right now. There is an Archon that's distracted. Huge Storm coming out and taking out all of those Scourge. Beautiful play from Snow.
Wow, that Storm just crushing this Scourge number. And there's still a lot of Hydras here, but how many Storms does Snow have to throw down here? He's got 1 Storm. That was a pretty decent one on some of these Hydras. Another Templar is coming up here. Maybe he can pick off this Templar, though. Templar maybe going down here shortly. More Hydras coming up. The Zealots are just a little bit too high in number. Looks like Jaedong going to be pushed back for now. More Scourge coming out here, trying to connect with these Corsairs, but looks like the cannons will keep them protected. Just making their way up here. We've got 1 DT, but a good presence of mind here from Jaedong to keep a Overlord with this group. He should be able to push forward, but he's actually going to back away. 3rd base is down now for Snow. He's got that secured, so a 4th will have to come here in reply for Jaedong. He's going to take that low money 3rd there. 4th there, excuse me, on the false high ground in the middle of the map. So that's that base is not going to last for a very long time. It's much less high, much lower value than the base, say at the bottom right, the extra main base, but it will give him that little boost of minerals here in the mid game that maybe will be what he needs here to take on Snow on his 3 base.
Right. Yeah, if he does want to go for more Battle Zerg style and kind of stay on like Hydra Lurker or just pure Hydra, he definitely will give him that little boost that he needs in the next few minutes to keep up with Snow. That's now on 3 base worth of production, currently ahead by about 30 supply, so it would definitely help give him that little bit of a boon going forward here. See a little bit of drones being produced from Jaedong as from the rounds of lava, trying to saturate this base as soon as possible. I imagine it will be finishing up his upgrades soon. It should be about +2 for Jaedong soon to the 2-1 of Snow, so that's gonna be pretty even on upgrades. One thing Jaedong could try to do here is, if he stays on this Battle Zerg style and just really doubles down on making as many units as possible, maybe he can overwhelm Snow when Snow tries to come out onto the map. It is possible, but I don't think he's lining up well enough to do that anytime soon. He's going to have a lot of Hydras, but there's going to be enough huge amounts of Goons and Storm available from Snow, and Snow's getting into the main base with the Corsair and is confirming that this is going to be potentially a Battle Zerg style. Now it looks like Jaedong is kind of like admitting defeat in the sense of, now I have to make the Queen's Nest and start to tech just in case I can't really win with this Battle Zerg style. It does look like he's not going to be able to win the game with the Battle Zerg style for the time being, at least, so it's going to have to eventually tech. And you usually do want to switch straight into Hive as soon as the Protoss player has his third base and you can't really do anything about it. So Jaedong kind of a little bit late to the party with this tech switch into Hive, but it's going to be able to go for maybe a big Doom drop into the main base. He's loading up all of these Overlords, saying this could be a good play by him, but it's also could be a nightmare situation where it just gets completely destroyed.
Yeah, I think this is going to work out well, but Snow is going to go for a counterattack during this. He could wipe out the third and maybe go for or wipe out the fourth and maybe go for the natural as well. While the army here of Jaedong is kind of small in defense. He's drawing the army down into the bottom right-hand corner, though. This is absolutely the best possible situation for this drop to work for Jaedong. Here comes all these overlords here into the main. He's going to drop right on top of this. The probes are going to be escaping here, but a lot of buildings are going to end up going down. A lot of zealots are going to have to be pulled here to defend. The counterattack is coming down, but actually Snow a little bit slow on that. There are lurkers now in position. There are Hydras there as well, so he won't be able to shut down the fourth base, and he's losing so much back at home.
Yeah, most of the Hydras were cleaned up, so there's not a huge amount of DPS here, so we won't be losing too much of this infrastructure is Snow, so we'll be maintaining all of that production. But he's losing these high Templars in the middle is huge. So much Storm just went down the drain for Snow. He has a lot of Zealots and Goons, but not a lot of high Templars, so this is really bad news bears for Snow, and he's mining so many probes on this gas and not minerals as well, so not really getting much economy as well is Snow not mining in the main base. So this is actually really bad for Snow. It kind of could fall apart for him really quickly as Jaedong also takes his fifth base location in the top left as well. So going to be moving up in the world in terms of his production is Jaedong still hammering away on these buildings in the main base, causing a little bit of a headache for Snow before we can get back to mining, currently reducing him to 2 base of production. He's also taking the 4th base of his own in that top right mineral only as well. So some of these Overlords are going to have to be careful though, getting intercepted, losing a little bit of that to the Dragoons, and now might be getting the cancel on this hatchery as well on the left hand side. So Jaedong going to be forced to stay on 4 beta faces for the time being. Maybe has to expand towards the 6 o'clock location instead. Going to be catching this DT in the bottom right as well with that Overlord and Hydras, trying to maybe expand in the bottom right main base and try and take 2 bases out from underneath Snow. If you can get both of those main bases, going to be huge. Having good skirmish in the middle of the map as well, sniping off some of those high Templars, and Snow also doing a good job of landing some pretty good Sonic Storms of his own. So nice little skirmish from both players. So far though, Jaedong slightly coming out ahead in those trades. Needs to be careful though with Snow getting this 4th base online. We'll have a lot of production coming in soon. So right now Jaedong needs to make sure whatever he does, he holds the right hand side of the map to prevent Snow from stopping him from getting any more of the expansions. He needs to expand to the 6 o'clock and then take the bottom right main. But meanwhile also we're going for the main drop in again. So right now Jaedong could do a big play in the main base of Snow, maybe even kill the Nexus, maybe kill some more of the tech as well. It's going to be a little bit of a trouble situation for Snow, but he's going to be trying to swing back all of his army to the north. Can he do it, Sane? It's going to be a little bit weird situation. He's got units in position to defend it though.
Yeah, these units here are so important, but the base, main base is wide open. There's a lot of different locations to drop in here. He's going to keep these overlords floating over this area to make sure that he has the option to drop in once again. But Snow is actually coming down to shut down this 5th base. He may be able to crush this. Big skirmish here in the middle of the map. Some of these lurkers gonna get picked off. Some of the zealots being pushed back as well. The big drop that was going down towards the main has been pulled away. A lot of those units are going to be dropped out and sent down here to help assist and try to defend this base down at the 6 o'clock, but it looks like Snow is going to be able to pick that off. A lot of Hydras here trying to surround this army. This is a wide concave here that Jaedong has set up, but Snow is going to back away and get himself into a tight little position here where he can storm down as many Hydras as possible. A lot of production here for Jaedong. He's still lagging behind a little bit in supply, but that is completely typical. This is a very, very even game. Jaedong coming in from all sides here with these Hydras. Got to be careful not to eat the biggest storms. Pretty decent storms from Snow, killing off a lot of these Hydras as they move forward. Oh, picking off some of the Templar here on the side. Not able to get great storms with that, and he's only got 1 storm left here, it looks like, and the rest of this army is going to get shoved into the bottom right hand corner and killed. All these Dragoons are going to end up going down here eventually, and Snow's going to lose the entirety of his army, but what can Jaedong do with this? Can he take more bases, because Snow is spreading out in a nice concave here. Now, on the other side of this, he's not going to allow this base to be taken easily. It looks like Jaedong going to shut down the center right, but, you know, I think that Snow will be able to produce another big army here. He should be able to come out and contest Jaedong once again. Killing off this army is not going to be as big of a deal as it kind of looks like on paper here.
No, not at all, saying. I mean, it's on one hand, it's kind of a bit of a standoff in this the bottom right, because yeah, Snow's denying the space from being taken, but Jaedong could be taking the natural expansion. We probably should be going for that. That little counterattack going in the top left-hand side of the map, trying to deny this mineral only expansion going up yet again. Probably will get the kill on that with these zealots. There is enough DPS there to destroy that. Nice storm as well on these Hydras coming in from the right eastern flank to deal with that. Oh, beautiful storm! That's a beautiful third storm. So it looks like Snow doing a good job of trading fairly cost efficiently, but Jaedong can still run away with this game. He has enough for production, he has enough hatcheries where he can just start swarming Snow with plagues, with cracklings, and just completely overrunning him. Does have these units boxed in the bottom right, but it looks like Snow's going to come into sandwich from the top and from the right hand side to save these units and also get some good trades onto Jaedong. Now going to be going for that pincer maneuver. Here come the Dragoons to the face of shotgun shots from the eastern side as the Zealots get on top from the left as well. Storms coming in from the top, again sniped by these cracklings though. One of those high templars did go down to those cracklings. Beautiful snipe from Jaedong, reducing some of the psionic energy output from those units in the coming phases of the game. Nice storm from there, just getting off on time before biting the dust. So both players doing what they can. It's beautiful storms in the middle of the map, blanketing those Hydras very cost efficiently. Beautiful storms from Snow as always. Also going to be getting the snipe on this hatchery at the 6 o'clock. This is a big pick off for Snow, because now Jaedong's starting to get mined out slowly in these bases in the coming minutes. So if he can keep playing whack-a-mole with these bases, it's going to be really great news for Snow going forward, because Jaedong's going to kind of start to dry up, but so is Snow. So right now this is going to be a weird situation where Snow's going to be on like 2 bases worth of production, and Jaedong's going to be on like 4 bases worth of production, but drying up to 2. So it's going to be very weird how these players navigate the next few minutes of the game. But Snow's getting his 3 o'clock base, which could be the nail in the coffin that he needs to be able to beat Jaedong.
Yeah, this is crazy. The snipes on these hatcheries around the map have been keeping Snow in this game. Jaedong his production is pretty insane right now. His upgrades are looking good as well. This army moving through the middle of the map is looking small in comparison to what Jaedong can field. Another drop going for the main, it looks like. And Jaedong can get in here and pick this off. Start to get some kills on these gateways here. Drops coming through. Oh, is it empty? Empty? Oh, maybe he didn't actually send anything in there. It was just a fake out. Another base gonna go down here. That's crazy. He's gonna lose a lot of overlords for that fake. Pretty costly fake there.
Yeah, it's not really, didn't really accomplish a whole lot for him either. So, and with losing these hatcheries on either side of the map, it's a little bit of a sticky situation for Jaedong, because he's going to start drying up now. The main base is going to be gone, the natural's going to be gone, this natural third that's low economy is going to be gone. Eventually his fourth will even be mined out. He has this base at the 6 o'clock, but it's not really well defended right now, and Snow has identified there's a little pocket of weak resistance here that he can kind of sneak into. Jaedong is set up to flank this army, though. Could come in from a big surround from the left-hand side with these rally point units, so he needs to be careful. There's a big critical mass of Dragoons and quite a few High Templars. Now, beautiful storms coming out of these Hydras, but Jaedong moving through that storm nicely and efficiently and killing the High Templar without losing too many of those Hydras. So good flank from Jaedong, trying to keep the attention of Snow to the northern side, where he tries to come in from the southern threshold, take out some of these Dragoons and High Templars as well. But so far, Snow doing a good job of keeping his army in a big tight ball and fighting efficiently. Jaedong has the supply advantage, though, in a sense, because even though he's slightly behind in supply of Snow, he is basically ahead in that sense. He has 3-2 upgrades on these Zerg units, so if he can somehow set up a good flank, then he is going to win the fight. It's just a matter of, can Snow outmaneuver him and avoid him from taking this big surround from Jaedong. So as long as he can fight the Zerg head on and prevent that flank, he's going to be in a good position. Jaedong now moving a lot of his army into position to try and get around back of that army, but Snow is doing a good job of staying tight, and it's a small contingency of Zealots moving to the top base side of the base to try and kill this hatchery as well. And a lot of the units from Jaedong moving into the front line of the Protoss army, which actually suits Snow just fine. He will skirmish this down with storms. He has plenty of Dragoons here acting as like siege tanks, just shelling. And didn't lose that hatchery in the top left, saying, and also a DT at the natural minority.
Yeah, such a scrappy PVZ right now. I think Snow has done an amazing job of shutting down bases around the map, but finally we're going to see Jaedong take a base here in the top left. Oh, he might actually be able to get in here and stop this. This is going to be really, really close, actually. Lings from the high ground, but no lurkers up here just yet. Lings are going to be able to slow this down, and a flank will come through. There's the lurkers popping out now. I think he should be able to defend this, but it's going to be very, very close. Jaedong hasn't pulled his lurkers from bottom center just yet. Now he's going to unburrow everything and send it up here. So he's bringing the entirety of his army forward to defend this base, and I think he should be able to do it with everything brought forward here. He should be able to shut down this attack, but will he save the base? The base is very, very low with just about 100 HP left. It looks like the hatchery does manage to survive, and this might be it. Jaedong's managed to keep this alive. He's going to morph it to a lair to give it a little bit more HP, but the bases are mining out here. Jaedong just now mining out his natural, going to send those drones over here to the top left base. This is a huge moment for Jaedong. Hanging on to that was critical. But now Snow going to swing the attention back down towards the bottom side of the map. Jaedong has to rotate constantly here. He doesn't have enough army to split his attention between two different locations. He's got to see where the Protoss is moving and react in order to bring all of his forces together in order to fight wherever the Protoss player is going to be attacking into. A drop here, shuttle. Maybe he can bring a shuttle forward and snipe that hatchery. A snipe on that hatchery would be insanely good for Snow right now.
Yeah, and he's making that hatchery into a lair just to give it a little bit more HP, going to be giving it about 550 more hit points to kind of beef it up a little bit. So we'll have a little bit more HP now, around about 700 or so. So will it be a little bit harder to kill? But now Snow moving forward all the way to the natural expansion of Jaedong, having to shuffle back is Jaedong and set up his lurkers into a better position. And we'll be able to hold on for the time being, but he's losing a lot of his units in the skirmish as well. So Snow doing what he can with what little he's got. He's only currently mining off these two bases, but now with the shuttle coming in, could do some huge damage. Here comes the Psionic Storm Drop at this base. Huge storms on Jaedong's drones, killing almost every single one of them except one.
Oh my god, that is critical damage here. 18 kills on that Archon. Nearly all of those being drones. That was the entirety of the economy for Jaedong. He just doesn't have much left around the map. There's quite a few drones down here. He's got a few drones over here at this base, but he's got so little remaining here after that drop. I don't know if he's going to be able to win this game. I think that Snow has kind of done the impossible here, managing to win this game, just sniping constantly at hatcheries. Finally, he's going to get down here and destroy this final mining base as well, and that's got to be it. Jaedong bringing his lurkers forward. He may be able to kill this army, but even if he wipes this efficiently, he just doesn't have the economy to continue fighting here.
No, he doesn't at all. He's down to 59 supply to 137. Snow has navigated this game to absolute perfection. What a beautiful storm drop. And he's done such a good job of just getting around that map and just playing whack-a-mole with these bases and really slowing down the production and path of Jaedong. Always trying to get into that sort of like 10 hatchery late game production where he's got like 6 bases. GG is called from Jaedong. Well played from Snow. What a phenomenal turnaround of events.
All right, we are back. Royal versus Snow is your next match here on Polypoid. Got Royal in the top left, Snow in the bottom right, and Snow. What's the plan here, my friend? Gateway out in the front. And then maybe have some Zealot pressure here this game, but it's a long rush distance.
Yeah, it's cross map, so it's going to be really hard to put too much pressure on Royal, and probably would not be getting this gas deal either. It would be nice if, say, Royal was in the bottom left and he can get this like gas deal for free, but even now he hasn't sent his probe out probably nearly early enough to get that, I think. So actually, yeah, wouldn't even be able to get the gas deal anyway. So it looks like Snow not going to be taking a gamble and getting a potential gas deal either way. So it's kind of going to be lining up nicely for him, not having to take any kind of economic damage early on by setting out the probe too early. It's going to be at least good for him in that sense. But I think Snow's best plan of action here would probably be to play something quite standard initially, like maybe like a 2-gate robo into 3-gate maybe. I don't think you want to do something too crazy against Royal here.
And Royal, how's he gonna play on this map in cross map position? I mean, he's gonna be happy when he sees that there's no Nexus first at least, but how do you think he wants to play this out against Snow?
With it being cross map and no Nexus first, I think he's going to be quite comfortable in this game. I don't think he has to do anything too special here. I think Royal will just play his straight up A game, maybe getting a fairly fast second armory and relatively quick command center for the third. I don't think necessarily he'll feel any pressure to do anything special against Snow on this map and these positions.
One thing I want to bring up about the recent metagame between Protoss and Terran is that Terrans have been going for a lot of Cloak Wraith, or just 3 to 4 Wraith play to shut down the popular shuttle style, and it's more popular with Snow than with anyone else. He invests in Reavers early and continues to produce them throughout the game, so we'll see if Royal has caught on to that trend yet, if he's going to be going for some Wraiths, even some Cloak Wraiths to pick those off, because it can be a very powerful strategy.
Yeah, we see some interesting little skirmish here of the probe scout of Snow trying to chase down this SCV of Royal, doing a lot of manual pathing as well to get that SCV away from that probe. And it's very difficult to do that because if you don't manually control that SCV and control the vectors on the hex tiles, then the probe can catch up very easily with just a few manual move commands. So Royal did a really good job there of not losing that SCV to that scout probe. So it's going to be able to get that SCV all the way back to the mineral line and keep a small boon to his economy. As a result, now Vulture coming across the map to the southern side, going to be forcing these goons of Snow to stay back and not put any pressure on the map, which will allow Royal to not have to worry about making any tank anytime soon, so he can optimize his build order further.
Yeah, with these early Vultures that are popping out, we're going to see a starport coming down, so good chance we're going to have a drop after these Vultures lay mines around the map. The dropship going to be bringing them into the main base, try to get some damage here on Snow early on. Snow's going to be looking to take a third base pretty soon, and when he extends himself forward to clear out those mines and set down that Nexus, that'll be the opportunity for Royal to fly in and try to get some damage.
Yeah, and Snow's doing that 2-gate robo like I expected he would. He will have enough units to defend this drop if he has those Dragoons in position to do so. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not he does have those units in position and whether or not he can sniff out this dropship play from Royal in the coming moments. It will be quite soon. This dropship will be popping up. We'll see a few mines being laid here at the 6 o'clock and around the middle only area, kind of setting up for in advance because eventually these vultures might die. So wants to get all of the value out of these vultures right away and lay down all of these mines before the dropship pops out and they go for that little skirmish into the main base, maybe getting quite a few probe kills in the process. So we'll have to wait and see. But so far, it looks like Snow's staying very passive and keeping really tight into his base until just now, starting to shuffle out a little bit with his observer.
Yeah, and this is that moment I was talking about. As the observer comes forward, we're going to move out and try to take a third base here as the Protoss player. That's going to be the moment of weakness when that dropship can deal the most damage. It's going to come around the bottom side here with the 4 vultures heading towards the south side. It's actually heading in the same direction as these dragoons. The dragoons are actually moving way out on the map. I'm not sure, or I'm not clear exactly where they're going. I thought they'd be heading down here to the 6 o'clock to get prepared for taking this base, but they're moving way out on the map right now, and there's not a whole lot back at home. Oh, he's got some dragoons here in the main, excuse me, maybe ready to defend. Oh, here's some in the natural too. Snow just a little bit too good. Underestimate this man.
Yeah, he's got the goons in the right position. He will lose a few probes though, because he hasn't actually reacted too quickly to these vultures. So he actually will lose a sizable amount of probes, about 4 or so. He did go down into the natural expansion and a few in the main as well. So actually kind of worked out okay for Royal here. I would say that puts him out slightly ahead, both in the economic curve of the game and as well as the army curve of the game, because as we see right now, there is this no third base from Snow. So kind of focusing in only on army and tech, and has lost a little bit of his eco to boot. So it's kind of in a weird position. Snow needs to try and put on some pressure soon, maybe to punish Royal, so that he can kind of make up for this disparity in economy that he's going to have to deal with coming up in the next few phases of the game.
And it looks like he ate a mine there as well while pushing forward, even though he had the observer with those 2 goons. Both of them have been badly damaged. So yeah, I love Royal's position right now. Those vultures got all their value out. They got all the mines around the map. He sees where any of these locations where Snow could take a 4th base. He knows that the base is coming here at the mineral only. He got the dropship out as well, so everything really working out perfectly for Royal so far this game. The 3rd base is quite late here for Snow, and Royal's gonna have a great push coming up here with 4 factories finishing up. He can either try to come across this map here, or maybe he can go for his own 3rd base, coming in with the vultures once again, sniping a couple of probes and laying down some mines around the map. Royal is in a great spot.
Yeah, Royal's in a phenomenal position. The 4 factories is just about the right amount you want to be aggressive, so he does have the option to be aggressive if he wants to. Also throwing down another factory. Meanwhile, the Reaver coming out into the main base does take a little bit of damage. He needs to be careful. That's all the shield hit points on that thus far. Takes out one of the mines on the way out. Has another opportunity to go back into it if he so chooses, but I do not think he will want to do that. He'll instead want to use this Reaver as a bit of a slowdown technique to try and prevent Royal from taking his 3rd base too soon. We do have the vultures now running into the natural expansion, though. No wall block from Snow uncharacteristically, so now it's going to be taking quite a sizable amount of damage into natural expansion. More and more probes going down, so Royal kind of carving out a nice little economic edge once again.
Yeah, this is starting to look very bad for Snow. He's lost so many workers here, and his Reavers didn't really do anything, which is incredibly surprising. Usually we see at least some amount of damage from Snow's Reaver. He is still going to have that available for when the push comes out to slow that down, but not getting into the main, not dealing that damage, you know, killing off some tanks, killing off some vultures, maybe getting a few SCVs. It's just really not looking good right now. I don't know how else to say it. Royal getting back out on the map once again, utilizing that dropship just to elevator a few vultures out here. I love it. It's a great move. He's been constantly throwing down mines and getting more and more kills. Coming into the 3rd base now, gonna go ahead and snipe a ton more probes You can almost get this full probe line here, and Snow is going to fight with the probes, but he loses at least 6 or 7 there. That's so rough.
Yeah, that's it's quite critical damage, honestly. Like he's only just now taking his 4th base, and he needs to have a sizable count of probes to be able to transfer and mineral smooth between these bases, so he doesn't become too mined out in his main and natural, so he can keep all 4 bases online as long as possible. And now that he hasn't got a high saturation of probes, it's going to be quite awkward for him to try and smooth those out and optimize his bases going forward. So really precarious situation for Snow. He's coming forward with this shuttle and Reaver, but going to be using the shuttle maybe to these raids. Does pick up one of the raids on the way out and does save the shuttle, so great job from Snow there not losing that shuttle. It would have been quite devastating for him to have these 2 Reavers just having to slug it out across the other side of the map and not be able to get away. Would have been probably having to lose those Reavers to the tanks in the follow-up, but now it looks like Royal finally going to be coming out, creeping out onto the map with these siege tanks, moving into this mineral-only location, which is so important for him to take away from Snow. It's going to be very hard for him to come up here and take this position away from Snow for free, so he's going to have to very slowly, methodically shuffle down and leapfrog these tanks one at a time. He's going to be scanning ahead of his army, making sure he doesn't lose any units for free here. It's very important that he not only gets this position, but he gets it without losing too many units.
Yeah, at the same time, dropping into the main base. Unfortunately, he's dropped into a bit of a crevasse here. Oh, a tank inside this fight. Gonna drop a mine as well, but the Dragoons will take that out without losing too many Wait a second, actually getting a couple of hits on the stack there of probes. I didn't see how many kills that tank got, but it did manage to get a few kills on those probes once again. So just constant harassment damage here from Royal. He's shoving forward now. He's gonna get a 3rd base up. It's not too late here. He's threatening this shuttle as well. This is a great play from Royal. He is going to take this 3rd base and possibly a 4th here and just become a massive threat on the map. Oh my god, mine!
Oh my god! So close. I think the Reaver killed the other Scarab that saved it.
Yeah, I think the Scarab just barely saved the day there. That would have been almost a trigger for an instant push from Royal. I had both those Reavers gone down to a mine. I think he just unsieges everything and goes across the map. Probably wins the game there. So being saved by the bell. Snow definitely not paying attention to the Reavers at that moment. Just luckily they decided to fire and save themselves. So tiny bit of luck there from Snow, but he's still going to be harassed once again here down in the bottom left. It's like the cannon finish up just barely in time here. Is going to be able to deny these vultures, but he can't transfer workers until he's cleared this out. And more vultures sneaking out on the map once again. Snow is sitting up on the high ground at the 12 o'clock. He's going to be able to deny that base for a little bit, but he doesn't have a whole lot of army in that location, and I think it's an inevitability here that Snow will, or that Royal will get that base.
Yeah, eventually that will transpire, and also eventually looks like Royal could, if he wanted to, take 9 o'clock and just push on the vertical axis and to try and isolate this rally point that will be set up a bit in the bottom left by Snow in eventuality. So yeah, I think this position is really favoring Royal right now. It doesn't even matter what he does. He can expand passively and divide the map across the horizontal axis here and split it in half that way. That'd be really good for him. He could also push down the vertical axis just from 9 o'clock and attack and defend at the same time. That works out well for him as well. So he's kind of got like all the options to choose from. He's currently ahead in supply by about 12 as well. So really indicative of a big lead in this game going forward. The one thing that Snow's got going from is maybe he can somehow set up these rally points in the bottom left and get a lot of Templars and shuttles and start laying siege to the economy of the Terran player and storming the mineral lines. Big mine going off there, taking out quite a few of those vultures. Needs to be careful not to blow away too many of his units for free. Royal does have a pretty big lead right now, but he can't afford just to throw his units away like candy, so has to be a little bit careful going forward against Snow. Snow is one of the strongest PvT players, so just because you're ahead against him doesn't mean you want to be, you know, a bit sloppy. So as long as Royal doesn't skip any beats here, I think he's got the game in the bag, but it is Snow after all, so we'll have to see who wins.
Yeah, there's still going to be this phase of the game where Templar are in shuttles, dropping down storms on the advancing Terran army, and that can swing the game very, very quickly if you're not diligently pushing forward and spreading your tanks. Royal is already at 190 supply though. With that 4th base up and running, he's going to be ready to push here shortly. I'd like to take a look at the upgrades, but I think it's probably 2-1 by now. And Royal just grouping everything together. It looks like he's ready to push out here against Snow.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to use this as a trigger to go. He needs to be careful though. Doesn't want to be losing this science vessel for free. Now a big storm going to be coming in on these retreating units. Luckily for him, dodging the majority of that damage from that storm. Now going to be thinking a D-Matrix out to negate the forward frontal damage of the next one. And does kind of ward Snow away from coming in there. Needed to shuffle all of his army back to prevent Snow having any opportunity to come in and get a cost-efficient trade. But now going to be sliding out a nice big vulture raiding party to the southwestern quadrant of the map, laying down some mines in the wake of those vultures as well to kind of catch some of those units coming down to intercept while shuffling around the map, trying to get some map control and pull Snow apart a little bit. What meanwhile is going to be starting to mine out on these bases over the coming minutes, and needs to make the most he can of this period of the game where he's got like 2 to 3 minutes of 4 base worth of production where he can really start to ramp up. He's now 200. He can start to use any opportunity now to look for a line of attack to really punish Snow and force him to engage his army head on. But at the moment he's just killing so many probes that are trying to transfer between these bases. He's completely ripped apart Snow's economy over and over again in this game. We're kind of showing a little bit of a masterclass in a very standard TVP. Nothing too fancy, just really well executed harassment techniques, and kind of showing his caliber in this game against Snow.
And there was a great opportunity there when Snow was chasing those vultures around the map. He pulled back the majority of his army, and Roll could have moved forward, but he was a little bit distracted trying to get that damage there with the vultures. He's now moving forward, but the entirety of the army of Snow is in position now, ready to fight. So he's still got to be careful, slowly move this forward, and make sure that he doesn't clump everything up. Wow, some factories being laid down here in front of the natural. Rarely do we ever see that, but he's got such a boon of minerals and gas right now. He is just gonna go ahead and throw factories out in the front of his base to try and ramp up that production further. Now spreading out slowly down southward here. He's really respecting Snow, even though he has such a lead in this game.
It is going to be carrier switch as well, so and the fleet peak is only just now finished, so basically Royal has like 2 to 3 minutes to make this happen. But now a big surround from Snow, huge psionic storms blanketing down on top of the siege tanks, but the siege tanks are already pre-spread really nicely here. Look at this beautiful tank line set up by Royal, just really deep, big, just rows and like a corner row of siege tanks, making it almost impossible for Snow to come in there and engage. Now going to be unsieging and moving to the middle of the map as well, and then going up for the big siege as well, forcing out some more psionic storms from Snow, as Snow desperately tries to prevent this army and keep it at bay. He has to fill up a couple of minutes before the carriers even become relevant again. Some high temperatures in the front now being slugged down by these vultures as well, as more psionic storms take out more and more of these Terran siege tanks. The psionic storms do basically true damage, so the Terran armor doesn't really matter, so they're going to be doing 110 damage over 2.5 seconds to those Terran units, regardless of how many armor upgrades they've got. They've got basically 3-2 upgrades now, I believe, to 2 attack upgrades of Snow, so really heavily upgraded units, but the psionic storm is still going to rip through them regardless of that. That's why Storm is so good against Terran. So Royal does need to be careful rolling his tanks forward, because he will take a lot of damage quickly if he's not careful enough. Make sure you don't use your army that way, because one of the big mistakes players make in these matchups is they can build up these big 200 armies like we see here, but they can lose that army just as quickly as they built it. It's just a few storm, as we see here, some of the vultures getting blanketed by that storm. Big storm coming down on these rows of tanks up against this cliff edge. High Templars on the cliff is one of the best cost-efficient ways to deal with these kinds of big Terran contains. So Snow doing all that he can with the what few units he has got in these small pockets around the map, and doing a great job of slowing down Royal, feeling very confident now, going to be coming down into this bottom left quadrant of the map to get on top of these carriers before they can get into a sufficient amount.
There's the Reavers coming out for that defense. He is going to lose the shuttle here, and probably the Reavers as well now. Just a little bit of miscontrol there, not pulling back that shuttle. He ends up losing both the Reavers. Still got storms to throw down here. not producing carriers, by the way, I want to mention. Just trying to hold this push as best he can. The carrier switch can come later. Assuming that he's able to reduce this tank number and kill this army here of Royal as it's coming forward. Another base going up in the top right as well. So Snow looking to the future here and securing his economy, but Royal doing the same, snagging the base on the center left as this army goes down. Snow gonna save the base in the bottom left. This is looking better and better for Snow, actually, as he gets more and more great storms on these tanks and clears out this army. Royal is getting slowed down here by quite a lot, and we might end up seeing that carrier transition a little bit later on here and have it be very, very powerful in the late game.
Yeah, it looks like Royal is kind of like was a little bit too hasty in coming down and dealing with this, that he kind of threw a lot of his units away. I think he still might be able to overrun Snow though. Snow is still struggling to trade cost efficiently. He's got a few High Templars remaining, but they're running out of energy quite imminently. There's more and more units streaming in for Royal. I think he's just barely got enough to overrun Snow. Snow was doing such a phenomenal job of storming with those High Templars and building the units that he could as quickly as he could to defend against this kind of onslaught from Royal. But it seems like a numbers game right now, and Royal's kind of coming out on top, and he's slightly overrun this position in the bottom left quadrant of the map now. Looks like Royal is kind of long distance mining some of these bases, not yet setting up the 9 o'clock, has been mined out in his main and natural, so it's going to be down 2 to 3 base economy now until that 9 o'clock is efficiently saturated. Currently now looks like Snow also taking the top right base, but that's going to be vulture rated as well, so it looks like kind of everywhere is like on fire for both players as Snow comes into 9 o'clock with his own contingency of infantry laying siege to that base as well, preventing any mining there, pulling down Royal back to a 1.5 base worth of production. So pretty good situation for Snow in the sense that he's limiting the production capabilities of Royal right now. However, it's still going to be a very tight game for both players. Right now it looks like Royal's doing a great job of limiting the production capability of Snow. Beautiful blanketing storms on these siege tanks on the low ground at the 9 o'clock position as well. Looks like Snow doing a good job of maybe even getting the snipe on this command center. I can't see the HP of that command center, but I think it will go down.
Yeah, there it is. That did go down indeed. We've got a tank drop here in the top right hand corner. GT's popping out here. Gonna try to drag mines. Oh, beautiful mine drag there. Snow with the finesse, almost able to take this game now. He's actually getting himself into a better and better position over time. I feel like Royal, with that massive advantage, losing his 5th base though, it's not looking good, man. You need to get something out on the map here and punish some of these bases. Can't allow Snow to hold the upper right at the moment, but look at that. The entirety of the bottom left has been cleared out. The carrier transition has been stopped. So there's not going to be that threat on the map here in the future. It's just going to be vulture, or it's just going to be gateway units for the remainder of this game. Great EMP on these Dragoons, cleaning a lot of them up. And what do we have on the high ground here? I think there's only one gateway, so not going to be a lot of Templar popping out of that area to help save. Oh my god, there's actually carriers being produced in the main?
Yeah, he's still doing the carrier switch anyway. Snow being a little bit stubborn with that. I'm not sure it's the right decision, but he's doing it anyway. I mean, fair play to him. I can't necessarily say I blame him. I'm not sure it's going to work in this case, though. He's going to be really struggling for gas now and not able to produce the templates that he needs to kind of combat this big Terran mech army. Now getting his probes absolutely ravished again in the top right corner of the map. He's going to have his economy reduced to an absolute pittance at this rate. Certainly not enough to keep up with Royal. Royal doesn't yet have this 5th base up and running, so Snow's got that going for him. But right now the army does favor Royal as long as he engages well here. It looks like Snow trying to skirmish as best he can while he buys time for some of these carriers to come out. If he can get maybe 5 to 6 carriers out here with full interceptors, it might be some hope for him. But with 3-3 Terran upgrades, it's going to be really a tall order for Snow going forward. I don't know what the upgrades are going to be on these carriers, but I don't think it's going to be quite anywhere near as good as 3-3 Goliath, so it might be a little bit tough for Snow. We'll have to see if he can make anything happen with these carriers.
Yeah, he needs to continue to buy time here with the army. As the carriers come forward, we can see there's not too many interceptors here and ready. Some storms coming out there, really blanketing those tanks, but the ground army is incredibly small for Snow right now. Not too many Goliaths here, but there aren't quite enough interceptors ready to go. Another EMP gonna go down as well. Getting rid of that Templar energy. Just completely shut down here with those Templar, and this army's gonna push through and I think shut down this base. With this base going down, we're gonna be on even mining here between the Terran and the Protoss. Nice shuttle drop here. The Zealot bombs are going to clear out a lot of these tanks. Storms should go down on these Goliaths as well, limiting the number of those. Oh my goodness, Snow taking this engagement incredibly well, clearing out those tanks very, very efficiently, and now the Zealots are going to continue to push forward. Does choose to back away. I think that Royal is going to be able to snag this top right of the map. What is this gateway here? That's hilarious.
Royal's natural third mineral only just got mined out at that moment, so he is now reduced back down to 2 bases worth of economy with this new mineral only he secured in the top right quadrant of the map. Is now laying siege back to the 3 o'clock position yet again. Science are going to be providing some vision onto that high ground for these siege tanks to pick away at these units. There is still a high Templar, a couple of high Templars up here with these carriers. Maybe could make something happen. It is possible, it is doable for Snow here to stabilize and make something work while he tries to expand to the bottom left of the map yet again and somehow get a sizable amount of carriers that are gradually going to be upgraded. It looks like he's got +2 upgrades on the weapons of these interceptors actually, so not too bad here for Snow going forward. Has some respectable damage on these interceptors, can do enough damage to pick off these Goliaths and tanks quite eventually, but not going to have the same kind of potency they might have in the earlier phases of the game, so needs to be a little bit careful and more passive here, does Snow, but that will afford Royal a lot more time and ability to get set up himself. We'll be taking these bases in the top right, splitting that completely in half and making it very, very difficult for him going forward. But with this gateway in the top right, I wonder if he's going to be able to do something about this expansion later on. He's not going to be sieging in the bottom left with these 2 siege tanks, doing a lot of damage to these probes. It's like Snow desperately trying to get back there to deal with these siege tanks, because losing all these probes could be huge for him right now.
We're gonna lose this base in the center right. I'm trying to find a way, trying to think of a way that Snow can win this game. He's got a decent carrier count, but with Royal taking the entirety of the top right-hand corner of the map and Snow not really able to contest that right now, I don't know how this is going to be a win for Snow. Here comes the Reaver plus some carriers here to take this out. He will get back to mining here at the mineral only, but this is vulnerable now to vultures, which could come down and easily start sniping all of these probes. Looks like he is going to shove that back with the Reaver. DT that popped out of this gateway is going to delay as much as possible the mining here in the top right, and honestly he's done a fantastic job of that, but this will eventually be shut down and Royal's gonna have far more bases, far more mining than Snow here in a moment. The number of Goliaths that are gonna be popping out, the number of science vessels that are gonna be available is going to be crazy. Now Snow doing some sort of desperate attack here in the middle, sending the carrier forward. I don't know where that's going, but we've got some Templar here, we've got some Reavers. Gonna try and do our best to blanket those storms and push back these Goliaths. Just pure Zealot army here. It's kind of a funny looking army, but it's actually doing a pretty decent job of shoving everything back from Royal. He gets another great storm there, holding this high ground position. It's going to be hard for Royal to break up here, and he's going to lose this command center.
Yeah, it's interesting because with Carrier, Storm, and Zealots and Reavers, with perfect micro, it's actually a very potent unit composition and can destroy a very strong Terran army, even one that looks quite superior. So with good control here, Snow can make something happen. If he can somehow rotate around to the 12 o'clock position and take out the command center up here, this is a winnable position for him. He has to make sure he maintains his high ground at the middle only, though. If he lets Royal take this high ground for free, it might be a little bit tricky for him. And he is kind of giving up that high ground right now, so I'm not sure this is the right call from Snow. It's like he wants to instead try and set up a little turtle position at this 12 o'clock instead. It might actually work out well for him. He does need to kill this command center if he wants any chance limiting the production of the Terran to be able to come back in this game. So this is kind of the right move from him here. He will be able to swing around into the top right side of the map as well. But this could be an EMP on all of these carriers if he's not careful. He's starting to flee from this science vessel. He is aware of the threat of taking a big chunk of shields all the way, all from all those carriers would be a nightmare situation for him because he needs as much hit points on those as possible to have any chance at tanking the damage of this the intercept of the Goliaths going forward. So needs to be really careful with the positioning of these carriers. Can't afford to take any kind of spells like the EMPs or too many shots from the Karen boosted upgraded missiles of these Goliaths as well. Needs to be saving as much hit points on these units as he navigates around the map in the center. Is now starting to take a lot of damage to that mineral army in the bottom left as well. So more and more of his economy being absolutely gutted. Now Snow's forced to come into the top right and engage this army head on. There's quite a few Goliaths here and some Zealots soaking up some of this fire, but I don't think there's enough firepower from these interceptors to be able to take out all of these Goliaths without enough storms.
GG. Snow taps out. Strangled here by Royal. Slowly but surely, he takes over the map, shuts down those bases, and man, that was some impressive vulture harassment from Royal. Okay, here we go. Royal versus Queen has begun here. We are on Tempest, this new ASL map for the fresh season 16 of the ASL. We're getting our sneak peek here at what these two fantastic Brood War players think of this map, how they feel like they want to play on it. Very exciting to see. Have you seen this map yet?
We've seen it a little bit, yeah. We casted some games on it in the first week of KCM. Honestly, I'm not... Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we had that ZVP on it, I think, right?
I honestly can't remember. Anyway, go on with your thought.
Oh, yeah, I'm not too sure about this map. It kind of allows for very unorthodox playstyle, or at least allows you to be a bit greedier with certain build order choices than you would usually. It's like a very fast pull going to be coming out from Queen, anticipating this kind of aggressive style from Royal. But yeah, I'm not too sure about this map because say for example in PvZ it allows for like a bit more like Reaver Ser kind of play. I'm not too sure how these players will adapt to it, if they will start to abuse certain build orders more because of the geometry of the map and this big massive ramp and the height. How close this ramp is to the expansion makes it so easy to hold as well. So yeah, this definitely changes the meta a little bit, and players are definitely going to be thinking about how to abuse this map. Just like Royal has decided that he wants to control the early game by putting out a lot of pressure with a very fast 1-1-1 build, I believe. He's going to be making a factory and a starport followed behind this, I think.
Yeah, this was an incredibly fast barracks, so you know, if he doesn't get any damage done with this, it's going to be a little bit rough. Queen went for that early pool. He's going to be popping out 4 lings here. There's not going to be any damage coming from this attack, and yeah, he's just going to I think send the Marines back home. Actually, just float the barracks and send the Marines to the front. Maybe build a bunker here. He can't actually build the command center right now. He doesn't have a factory finished just yet, so he needs a vulture to pop out here before he can actually try to take his natural, and this has already gone a little bit poorly here for Royal, but he can still recover. There are still options for him in this game. He's just in a kind of a rough situation here, floating his barracks across the map and you know, turtling up here, trying to get his first vulture out. And look at that Hydro Stand from Queen. He's completely identified this from start to finish. He's just been ahead so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be like a 9-2 2-hatch Hydra build to try and put on a little bit of pressure and counteract this fast vulture play. from Royal, and he did kind of get completely bamboozled in the start here. Queen completely rocked his world by making this early pull. Royal was kind of banking on the 12 hatchery or 11 hatchery play from Queen, and punching out with these initial Marines and having the Vulture follow up with the Starport coming. Yeah, there's the Starport there. So he would have done this build pretty much as we see now, except he would have been able to put a lot more pressure on in the early game, maybe kill a few drones and get a slight economic lead from that on, from then on. But looks like Queen going to be using some good mineral boosting in the natural expansion to get the most out of those 2 drones. He's doing a 9-2 build, which is where he has 9 drones mining minerals in the main and 2 drones mining in the natural, and that's basically the saturation you need to perfectly produce 2 hatcheries worth of hydras and upgrades. So it's probably going to be pulling off 1 drone off of gas after he gets the range upgrade on the way of those hydras, unless he wants to go into a transition into leg. Going to be catching this vulture a little bit as well, putting on some damage onto that, taking it down to about 2/3 already. Now going to be shuffling down that ramp, making his way downtown to this bottom right quadrant with some Zerglings to support those hydras, while Royal desperately tries to get a bunker up in time. He's going to really need a strong repair on this bunker as well if Queen decides to go up to like 12 or so hydras and try and push up here. But he's going to be coming in before the bunker's even finished anyway, try and target down some of these units. Isn't able to do so. The bunker does finish. Marines get inside the bunker, so now for the time being, Royal is going to hold.
Royal holding on here right now, and to be fair to him, it is the standard play to go for a 12 hatch. It's very strange that Queen decided to go for that early pull, just kind of predicting him completely. If Royal had gone for an early command center here, imagine the position. It would have been amazingly good here. If I'm not sure if you can actually do a full wall that's ling tight at that natural, but with the ramp there and the ling tight wall, it would have been an incredible position for Royal. So you can be, you can expect that most Terran players would play that way. It's just that Queen completely metagamed Royal here. He figured out what was coming and countered it completely. Now dropship's out on the map, but the Overlord's already spotted that. The Hydras will have to be pulled back here, which is a good benefit to having this dropship out on the map, but I actually didn't know about this. Is that that's a high ground over top of your natural? We haven't seen a high ground like this in quite some time. That a lot of these high grounds over naturals or high grounds over main bases was kind of kicked out of the metagame of map making back in like Lost Temple days, I feel.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, saying he's respecting it so much that he's building a creep colony on top of that gas to protect it. But hold the phone, because these vultures are getting into the main base with this vulture jumping, taking a lot of damage to these drones already, trying to transfer to the natural for safety, but already going down by about 3 or so drones, I believe. Actually didn't take too much damage that he could have. If Roy was more on top of his target firing, he would have killed a lot more drones there, but instead he kind of like staggered his shots a little bit and didn't kill as many as he could have. Did do a lot of critical damage though, still killing 5 or 6 drones so far. Now going to be coming into the natural, going to be kill another drone on top of that as well. Is going to be getting another drone kill, so really good play from him. And like we were saying just a moment before, is going to be having to respect this high ground so much that he's making a sunken to protect that gas income on the left hand side of the hatchery as well. So yeah, this high ground situation is a bit precarious and a bit of a weird thing to be bringing back into the map meta.
Yeah, strange. That's something that can favor the Terran player to kind of a ridiculous extent. When you get dropships out on the map and you start landing tanks up there, it's going to become insanely difficult to fight back against. So yeah, very surprised that we see this coming back into the map making meta. Queen sending out a drone. He's going to go ahead and try to take a third now. The game has been very back and forth, very strange, not your typical ZVT at all, but we've navigated ourselves to a point now where both players are starting to move towards a more natural looking game, a more normal looking game. We've got some mutas are going to be popping out here soon with the Spire being finished, and we've got a bunch of barracks being thrown down, so Marine Medic and Science Vessel is going to be the end position here for Royal, and we're probably going to see some mutas followed up by maybe some lurkers here, and eventually a transition from Queen.
Yeah, right now I think the game is slightly favoring Queen because of how much defense Royal has had to make, and there hasn't been a significant damage besides those drones that went down for Royal. So Queen, I think, is in a pretty okay position, but one thing he hasn't done is he hasn't gotten this third gas up early. So as long as he can get this third base uncontested on the left-hand side, as we see going up now, if he can get that uncontested and get that gas going, and can somehow put on some pressure right now with these speedlings, and but he's not to see the lurkers being morphed. I don't think Royal saw it. He doesn't know that about the lurkers right now. I think the links prevented the SCV from. He does scan though. Now he sees the lurkers. Okay, so he knows exactly what's going to be coming. So I don't think this attack will work anymore, but he's going to go for it anyway. Here come the lurkers sliding up to the ramp. Not quite a good borrowing position. He's going to try and target down these bunkers anyway. They are next to each other, so I can splash them both down at the same time. Scourge do connect on one of those vessels, taking them down to just 2 remaining, but most of the lurkers have died. All 3 bunkers have been eliminated, however. So now going to be shuffling forward with the remaining lurkers. Does get the tank and borrow on top of where the command center meets the wall, so now has able to shut out any mining, and now preventing the Terran from doing much as he comes down the ramp on top of the Terran production, getting 2 but these lurkers borrowed right next to this factory and the add-on, starting to target that down with the links as well, so we can get the upgrade and the tank production capability eliminated. Will be really good for him. He is starting to target that down. It's going to get the kill on that. Now that he's on top of the production of Royal as well, it'll be very difficult for him to stabilize from here, so maybe Queen's done it if he can just get a few more units rallied down here and isolate. I think he can actually win the game from this position. Does try and get the surround on the tank. Beautiful surround with those Zerglings helping the Zerker connect with the spines on that subterranean spines. Going to help finish that off as well. Gets a beautiful surround on his bar units coming out of the 3 barracks production as well. Looks like Queen has done it, getting on top of Royal really heavily in this game, catching all the units as they come out from these barracks, streaming one at a time. Not going to be enough. Beautiful play from Queen. More and more Zerglings streaming across the map now. Only mining on this one base is Royal with three barracks production. Not going to be enough to stabilize against these units, I feel. So now it looks like Queen has done it, and a few Hydras going to be coming in as well to add a bit more range DPS to these units to prevent the surface area of those SCVs from becoming too much of a relevant factor in these trades. So it's going to be able to snipe off some of these Marines, even with good blocking from those SCVs. So looks like Queen looking in a great spot here, reducing the count further and further of Royal. Is going to now start taking more and more shots at these SCVs now, reducing the economy of Royal. Just in case he somehow did stabilize, it'd be much harder for him to win the game after recovering from his position soon.
Yeah, a few fire bats popping out here, but Lings, Hydras getting in on top of all of this. We've got all the Hydra upgrades. They were finished earlier, so the Hydra's doing very, very well here. And GG finally is called. Royal, the fantasy GG timing, he finally leaves the game. That was surprising. I did not think that Queen was going to be able to break that ramp there. 3 bunkers, a tank, and what was that, 4 science vessels there as well? He got tons of irradiate down on those units. He had a lot of Marines in those bunkers just firing down on everything, but somehow Queen managed to break through there. That is crazy to me. All right, match number 7. We got Best versus Queen on this brand new map, La Campanella. Or Campanilla. I'm not sure which pronunciation is correct, but it's an interesting map. We've got a little cross base in the center. Has some Christian themes going on. And we'll have to discover this a little bit going forward.
Yeah, I believe the map name translates to Little Bell. I'm not too good with these languages though, so I could be mistaken there, but I do believe it is Little or Small Bell. I'm not sure who's going to be ringing the bell on this map this time around, but one of these guys is going to have his bell rung and will have his race completely eliminated from this week. We are down to the final player in each of the lineups, so either Protoss or Queen or Zerg, represented by Queen, will be knocked out in this match. So who will be putting some points on the board this week? We'll have to find out imminently. Going to be seeing that gateway in the natural expansion for Best first. A little bit uncharacteristic of him. Usually would have maybe seen the Forge going down from him, I would believe.
Yeah, gateway here at the front, and the scout is coming out in the wrong direction. Should be sending the zealot over down to the bottom left. Have some early pressure coming down, and this is a hatchery here on 11 for Queen, so he won't have any lings out, I think, in time to stop this zealot. I'm not sure exactly how the pathing is from bottom right to bottom left, but it looks to me like it's a pretty close rush distance here.
It looks like 32 seconds or something. Yeah, it looks pretty quick. I'm not sure how much that will affect things with the 11 hatchery. And as we've talked about many a times, and as I like to keep repeating, if you do lose a single drone to this initial zealot pressure, it's basically completely negating the advantage of going for that fast hatchery. You might as well have just gone for overpull. So do not want to be losing a single drone to this zealot. Is going to be trying to use this scouting drone to slow down that zealot, try to maybe get a few shots on it as well if he can afford to do so. Reducing the HP and shields of that zealot would also be beneficial to him, making it easier to pick up and kill. Just wants to be harassing the zealot, maybe making it turn around to punch the drone just once or twice will be a sufficient enough delay for him. Could also drill the drone through the zealot from behind to also try and slow that down that way as well. But he's going to be coming all the way into the main base with this zealot is best. Drone finally going to be leaving it alone and stop bullying it, going back to mining the natural as 6 lings do pop out just in the nick of time. You see that how aligned that was with that slowdown from the drone, just buying him barely enough time for those lings to hatch out and be safe.
Looks like he's going to get a great surround here on the zealot. Really good job trying to tuck that zealot behind the mineral patches there, but getting right in on top of this, he will kill the probe and the zealot there without too much delay. Queen, really great control with the early lings, and 2 lings were sent directly across the map here. The cannon's not done. 1 zealot in the wall here to defend, but if Queen is on top of this, he could jump forward and try to deal some damage to this. Probe's pulled, though. He will keep the photon cannon alive. Lings, more of them coming across the map. He's trying to deal a little damage as he can to this cannon. 1 ling gonna come from behind here, trying to kill some of these probes, trying to get in on top of this cannon. The cannon takes forever to warp in, and it finally will finish up here, but lings slip by. 4 lings in the main is not a good situation for Best, who's already been shut down with this zealot pressure. This is looking a little bit rough for him. He's gonna have to build a cannon here in the main base as well, just to keep himself from losing too many probes to this constant harassment. And diving on top of these probes here, he's almost gonna get one. Turns on this zealot now. Great control here from both sides. Manages to pick off one of those lings, and the harassment will continue. Another probe going down.
Yeah, really great harassment thus far from Queen, trying to get as many probes as he can before that cannon finally warps in to try and negate the advantage of even making that cannon to begin with. So he's invested 150 minerals in making that cannon and also still lost some probes. Might even lose the zealot as well. Really unfortunate for Bless losing that zealot as well. That really does hurt. We do see another unit coming across the map now. A couple of zealots, but it's not going to be enough for him to win against these speedlings. Queen can buy some time with these initial Zerglings for more and more to hatch. Best could maybe kill 1 or 2 of these drones in the natural with some good target firing, but it's very unlikely that that would transpire. Queen just has such good control that he probably wouldn't allow that to happen. Is going to be chasing down these zealots in the main base and cleaning up quite nicely too before they can even get behind the minerals. So really great job from Queen, being very cost efficient in this early game phase. I'm really surprised by Best going for this gateway first style. It's really not in his wheelhouse. He's not really a gateway first kind of style of player. He's way better at playing a bit more passive in the early game with Forge Fast Expand and then going into a stronger mid-game phase. So I'm not too sure that going for the gateway first was the wise decision against Queen here. I don't necessarily blame him, but I still am a little bit confused by it stylistically.
And now the zealot early game pressure has been completely shut down. We've got Queen spreading out all over this map. La Campania. I don't know how to say it still. I think that it means the bell, but guys, leave your comments down below. Don't look it up. That's called cheating, okay? You just have to just speculate and just guess what it means.
well, Zun says it's la, so it can't be the, because the would be le. So Zun could be really wrong though. So.
Alright, leave your comments down below what you think it is. We've got Queen gearing up here for the mid game, adding on those extra hatches. A Corsair is going to come out here soon. I don't see a Spire. Did you see a Spire?
Yeah, no. Wait, I don't think. Yes, yes, he did. Sorry, he put the Spire in the main gas. Yes, he did. Yeah, we just see a confirmation of that now.
So we've got that Spire done. He's going to have a couple of Scourge on the way here. There's no way he's going to lose an Overlord. Everything looking very, very good here for Queen on this map. What is that base up there in the top left? Is that a natural? I don't think so, right? This seems to be just a small opening base here in the top left.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual little tuck-in base. In a way, I like these bases. It kind of reminds me of the new way of thinking about expansions. I like the Mir, for example, has these kind of just like pocket expansions with just a nice little fairly tight choke to worry about. It's kind of like an isolated base, which can be hard to defend, but does have that advantage of having a very tight choke, and you can build some pretty good SimCity there to negate kind of too much of pressure. I think it's a very good way of thinking about expansions going forward in the map making meta. I do like these sort of pocket expansions. I'm happy to see them more. I really kind of like it. I'm not too sure about how I feel about the rest of the map. I'd have to see more game time on it, but so far it's so good. Both players navigating it fairly well, it seems. I think that Queen's definitely getting the better end of the stick, though, in terms of how he's navigating forward into this mid-game phase. Now we're going to be seeing a lot of Hydralisks come out from these hatcheries. It might be a little bit too much for Best to handle. Does have those Zealot legs finally kicking in, but now going to be maybe losing a couple more of these Zealots to Zerglings. Really weird to be losing any Zealots against these Zerglings right now. Need to be very careful with that. Is now kind of sending these two Zealots out ahead, and now the Queen has hit the Hydras. He's run down to the southern threshold, but now going to be intercepted by the remaining Zealots as well. So now he finally does see these Hydras are en route, so we'll be throwing down more and more cannons to defend this. There's also a Dark Templar to come out to deal with this, but there is a slow Overlord cycling down to this choke point, so we'll be able to keep laying siege to this expansion regardless of the fact. So does have some Corsairs to come in to try and counteract this, but with the two Scourge here to kind of practice a little bit of a zone control for these Overlords, and with the Hydras to boot as well, might be enough defense against these Corsairs to deal with this. One Scourge does connect to those Corsairs, but the other one was killed, so pretty good trade thus far. Does do a good job of buying some time for these cannons to start warping in, but Queen has a lot of Hydras right now. Could be going for the kill move at any moment, but isn't yet moving out with the additional Hydras, so it looks like there's a little bit of a pressure play from Queen. Now going moving into targeting down the front cannons, so he can then open up this position by killing the Forge and the Gateway. Feels like he wants to go for the kill move and the pylon at the front because he sees the exposed pylon. Does get the pylon. There's nothing warping in right now to save these cannons. They're completely offline. More Hydras streaming across the map right now. The pylon is being remade, but only one cannon in the back is currently online, able to deal with this. So now the front wall is going to be targeted down for free. There is some High Templars with Storm Energy now starting to blanket those Hydras at the front. A beautiful Storm Damage from Queen will be preventing too much damage onto those Hydras. And with more and more Hydras coming across the map, he should be able to break open some of his position to make it really tough for Best going forward here, Sam.
Oh my god, this is so tense right now. That pylon, Archosis pylon there in the front getting picked off. All those cannons going unpowered. The storm came out, but you can't win. You can't hold off an attack unless you've got cannons and storm. One or the other is just not going to be enough. Here comes the storm. Really, really good there. Does pick off one of those cannons, though. And now there's only 3 left. I think that Queen can actually break through here. He's running forward, trying to get on top of this. He is going to get on top of that one remaining cannon there. And a few more warping in, but they are very, very spread. Not all the cannons are able to shoot every time the Hydras come up. More cannons are being thrown down. More Zealots are popping out here. He's got a Templar, but it just doesn't have enough energy. A few more probes are going down. The Corsairs are getting to work on some of these Overlords, but still a long way away from a supply block here. And another cannon goes down to just 4 Hydras with many more rallying up here. I think he's just barely going to break through, although 3 more Templar pop out. If those storms are available when these Hydras come forward, he's going to be able to hold. Storm, no storm here. 3 more cannons finish up. This is crazy close, but so many probes have gone down. I think that Queen can still transition out of this, even if he doesn't end up breaking.
Right, he definitely can still transition. He just identifies that there is a moment of weakness here where he's still trying to desperately get that Psionic Storm energy available. He has the opportunity to keep targeting down these cannons and cracking over his vision and forcing the probes to come off the line to block the surface area of the Hydras, which enables him to then reduce the economy of the Protoss player by having some free ducks in the barrel to shoot. So those probes going down for free basically to those Hydras, helping him stabilize his position in this game further by reducing that saturation of the probes. And now we'll have to not only remake some of those cannons to be defended, but now we'll have to remake a lot of those probes as well to resaturate. So going to be a little bit hard for Best to make additional gateways at the moment. So he's not going to be going up to that full gaming production that he wants. He's going to be catching some of these Hydras in the middle of the map, which is really good though. If he can reduce the Hydra count going forward, it's going to be really beneficial for Best, because he doesn't want to allow Queen to have that critical mass of Hydras that Queen needs to have full map control. So if he can do a good job of catching some of these Hydras and reducing their numbers, that will help him going forward. He does need to be able to keep the army potency of Queen as low as possible, so he can either come out on the map and put some pressure onto these expansions while also taking his own expansions. He does need to get third base online very soon.
I think this third base here that we're seeing on screen right now is actually a kind of an island base that's behind the minerals. If you can go behind the minerals of your natural, I think you can get down into that sort of semi-island location and take that third base. So there may be an easy third base for Best to take. If that's the case, I think he can draw this out into a much longer game. But if he has to push out here and try to take a base, it's going to be very difficult for him. There's lurkers on the way. Queen has a huge supply right now. He's only 10 supply behind where Bez is at. His drone saturation is there right now. The lurkers are going to be coming forward and setting up here in a concave. And yeah, this is just going to be very tough to break through. Oh! Lurker drop. Ooh.
Spicy.
Yeah, we might have some lurkers drop behind those mineral patches at the natural. There's a lot of space back there to drop, and if he's not paying attention to this, he could lose every single probe in a matter of seconds. It's like, oh, Dragoons are out and ready to shut this down. As long as he pulls back the probes here, he should be fine. Yeah, he might lose 1 or 2, but in the end, looks like he will be able to keep this alive. Oh, lurkers here in the main as well. So the 2-prong drop actually gonna get quite a few kills on those top patches. Best really doesn't have anywhere to move with his probes right now. Gonna have to leave them idle somewhere if he doesn't want to keep losing them. More and more kills here. 6 kills on this lurker. 8 kills now. We don't have an observer out.
So this is the 1-2 punch that you want to do with lurker drops. You basically force them to transfer their probes into their main base or the natural with the first drop, and then the second drop kills everything after the transfer. That's why you see like a delayed 2-prong attack. So what happened there was the probes came from the natural to the main base as the lurkers were landing in the main base. If there wasn't any cannons in the main base, those lurkers would have landed right on top of that mineral field and killed basically the entire mineral line from both bases. So it's a really well executed 1-2 punch that you can do with lurker drops like this to kind of stagger the drop timings, so as they transfer to the next base, you then hit them with the other drop, and not only are they distracted, but you then get 2 for the price of 1.
And something I hadn't really considered until now is that, you know, this is a brand new map. We've got Best here not maybe placing his buildings in the best possible formations here, making it hard for him to get back into the main to clear out those lurker drops. Now he's starting to move forward, but the lurker army in the front is very scary. This contain is going to be super difficult to break through. He's got a good number of Dragoons here, but the Hydras are going to run forward and push everything back. Storms were decent, but I don't think he's going to be able to break out of here anytime soon. It's time to take a third base. I really feel like Best should take that island base. in the back.
It's a very deep concave, which is the problem. The deeper the concave, the harder it is for Storm to be effective, and the Dragoons are going to struggle to trade efficiently if the Queen is able to engage properly here, and Queen is doing a pretty good job of setting up a nice concave onto those Dragoons, and as we can see, with that huge surface area, it's a lot easier to Storm dodge for Queen as well, so they're gaining a lot of the advantage of those Templars by setting such a wide arc of contain with those Lurkers, so really well executed from Queen, understanding how to abuse the geometry of the map there and force best into an unfavorable kill box position, reducing the potency of that huge Dragoon count. So I really like how the Queen's handling this game going forward. It looks like he's getting set up to kind of do a little 1-2 punch on Queen at the natural expansion and take out the rest of these goons, because if you reduce the goon count enough, it's just impossible for them to ever get a critical mass to keep fighting the Hydras. So it looks like Queen going to be capitalizing on this moment of weakness for best now as well and reduce those numbers further.
Yeah, great micro here from Queen, just shoving forward over and over again. I am shocked that that Best is not taking that third base. I really feel like, he's lost so much. He's had such a hard time here in the early game. Getting that third base online for free and, gearing up for a later push out would be better than just trying to break this contain right here, right now, when Queen's really got the advantage. He's got the numbers to be able to hold this back. Now he's coming out once again. He's just going to continue to try and throw himself against this wall of Hydra and Lurker, and GG, he taps out without even trying to take the third base. That is shocking to me.
Yeah, kind of crazy they didn't go for that there, so...
Well, it's a new map, a brand new map. That's the first time I've seen that one, and I'm looking forward to seeing more games there. It seems like an interesting addition to the map pool here for ASL and KCM. Our final map of the night is going to be Apocalypse, or JYJ and Queen. Final showdown here between Terran and Zerg. Protoss, unfortunately, was eliminated first. Not going to earn any points this week, but still got the chance here for both Terran and Zerg to take that first place, to grab those 2 points and a burst forward on the board. Zerg has been looking really lax on that overall KCM record so far, so they're really hoping to get this win here on this new map. See if Queen can pull it off.
Yeah, they're a little bit lackluster in their performance thus far as the points on the board are concerned, so definitely want to be picking up those 2 points if they can. And yeah, this map Apocalypse, looking a little bit interesting. It's a 3-player map. I kind of like the geometry design of it with these 3 high ground peninsulas in the center, kind of forming like an upside down triangle shape. I'm not too sure how this will affect TVZ on this map. It looks like you can kind of do this interesting half wall in the natural, but you can't do a full wall. I'm not sure what JYJ's got planned here with this early wall-in style that he wants to go for. It's like Queen's just going to be throwing down a tried and true 12-hatch, nothing kind of unorthodox from him. But how much time do you think these players get to experiment on these maps before these games?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, the new map pool came out last week. We had the new maps in the last week of KCM, so they've had at least a week, and they've been playing games on them, getting prepared in Pro League. Of course, they're not in the ladder or anything, so only in custom games have they been able to practice. So I guess it depends on how many practice partners they have and who's willing to practice with them is going to be the answer to your question there.
Right, and that might be quite limited given the field of players and how busy the schedules of the players are and who's interested in this map pool and who isn't. So maybe some of these players not able to get the kind of practice and they need to, maybe even having to practice on their own a lot on these maps or within their dugouts within their own races to try and kind of brainstorm ideas of how to navigate certain matchups on certain maps, using the collective brain power of their race to try and figure out the best way to deal with certain situations on certain maps, but maybe not getting the kind of practice time that they actually need, despite having the good theory craft sessions with their team. So it would be interesting to see if it's theory over execution here on some of these new maps where they've got some good ideas, but not necessarily the practice they need to execute them well. So Let's see if JYJ can put on a significant amount of pressure with these initial Marines coming forward now. Looks like he's not quite moving all the way across just yet, dragging these Zerglings into the main base a little bit deeper before showing the Marines so that it's a little bit further they have to run before they can come in to save these drones. But why is he going to be pulling these drones right out into the main base and not going to be losing any of those?
Yeah, pulling those back, producing a few more lings here. 4 Marines have arrived now. He does have to be careful not to lose these early Marines, because that will translate into a serious advantage for Queen later on, and you really can't give Queen those edges in the early game. If you want to survive his 2 hatch muta play, he is incredibly strong with that micro, and the Marine number, if it gets reduced early, it could lead to a snowballing victory for Queen. Now, a 2.5 hatch is going to be the build of choice here for Queen. Setting down that extra hatchery here in the main base. It's going to be slightly slower, him getting his Mutalisk out, but not by much, and he is going to have a lot more larvae here to work with. This is a very popular build right now, and Queen is probably one of the best players in the world to use it.
Yeah, basically with the 2.5 hatch, you're getting your Mutalisks maybe, let's say, 20 or so seconds slower. However, you're getting this third hatchery really early on. Like so you're getting both, basically best of both. You're getting the slightly earlier tech than you would from the 3 hatch muta, but you're also getting the benefit of that extra larva from that third hatchery as well. So you're kind of double dipping with that and trying to get best of both worlds. And if the Terran player doesn't correctly identify that it is a 2.5 hatchery as well, and they respond with a more standard turret timing, or they don't want to adjust their build, because on the ladder a lot of players won't adjust their build to the finer points to optimize, so you can sometimes get small advantages here. But look at this from Queen, catching 2 of these Marines, just a handful of Zerglings. Great play from him. That was more of just a movement issue from JYJ there, a little bit of a pathing error from this new map, not understanding exactly where to click to get his Marines to go how he wants them to. Now with these Zerglings going to be dogging the bio from behind, being a little bit annoying and slowing down the push as much as he can, buying some time for the sunken official. There's only 1 sunken here for Queen. I hope he's got some units coming out soon, because here comes the stun from JYJ, going to be targeting that down with the initial Marines. Beautiful surface area on that, going to be helping kill that sunken almost immediately. Drones have evacuated into the main base, and now JYJ going to be targeting down these Mutalisks as they hatch out of the eggs. And now he's got the critical mass of mutas that he needs, down to like 5 or 6 mutas, one of them down to 44 HP as well. So going to be really tough for Queen to take this out cost efficiently. Does get 1 of the Marines links coming in from behind to help trade efficiently with that, reducing the Marine count down to 4 to 3 now. So doing a good job of doing that, running right with the low HP Mutalisk as well. So pretty well handled from Queen. Could have been a really detrimental there. A worse Zerg player may have fallen apart without the sufficient micro required to mitigate the damage to those mutas. Could have lost so many mutas in the process of trying to clean up that bio efficiently before starting to lose his gas and drones.
Yeah, wow, that was impressive hold from Queen. I died there for sure with those Marines running into the natural. Shocking that he only went for 1 sunken colony, but he managed to pull it off. He kept all of his drones alive. He's back to mining now with full saturation. He's got a good clutch of mutas here, and he killed the first Bioforce, so he's going to be feeling pretty decent right now. Not as good as if he had held off that attack a little bit more cleanly with the second sunken colony, but he's still going to be okay, and he's going to be pushing in with these mutas. A lot of them are damaged. A couple of them went down in that fight, but I think it's acceptable losses here. With the 3rd base coming up, this game could still go along. We're not in a serious advantageous position for either player. What's JYJ going for right now? Is he switching his tech up? Is he going for 4 racks play or 3 racks play?
It's hard to say. He doesn't need to go 4x with the damage he done early game, but he probably will want to do so anyway because of the 3 hatchery production. Lings coming into the natural pressure onto these turrets as well, but having to retreat out because there's the superior bioforce as present. One thing to note though is that with this small early aggression from JYJ, he did soften up a lot of those mutas early on, so it was a lot trickier for those mutas to come in and harass the SEV lines as they were already bruised up prematurely, so can't really fight over the turrets for too long, so wasn't able able to snipe as many SCVs as you would like to, only killing like 2 or 3 SCVs and not slowing down any of the tech timings of those buildings either. So Queen didn't find the kind of damage that he would usually like to, although right now the supplies are kind of favoring Queen. If he does want to go for a bit of a battle Zerg style here of like just lots of mutas, lots of lings, tries to bait out the viable of JYJ and then just pounce on top of that with some muta ling, maybe could really get a strong lead over him in this game going forward here. Now up to like 10 or so mutas with another 2 coming. So if he wanted to, he has got enough units where he could really bully JYJ if JYJ is a little bit foolish and comes out any further into this middle.
Well, we were wondering how much practice these players had on this map, and it seems like Queen has had some real serious practice here because he sent his drones to that third base prematurely, and they arrived perfectly on time as the hatchery was finishing up there. He's got a nearly full drone saturation now at that third base. Only 1 mineral patch is not being mined by a drone, so he is getting ready for a very nice macro game here. We haven't seen the tech switch just yet, but he is powering out a ton of lings and mutas right now. Has a couple of sunkens at home as well, and is completely shutting down this marine force, not allowing it to really leave home, pinning it down. Now that the reinforcements are here, though, it's looking like JYJ can start to move out on the map. Double starport production has begun, and we're going up to 5 racks as well, so full SKT style from JYJ.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for JYJ in that respect, but one thing I will say is that Queen has done a really phenomenal job of forcing stims from these bio units as well. So coming forward, these 5 medics will not have a huge amount of energy to work with, so JYJ is going to be a little bit careful going forward. Maybe wants to like just stim 1 marine at a time to kind of force Queen to back off what he doesn't need to and try and save as much energy as possible, because now Queen is going to really start to dog this bio ball going forward, and we'll want to cut off any reinforcements coming down here until these radiates are about to pop out any moment. So he's going to be coming in here and killing all these naked marines before those irradiates come online. So beautiful job from Queen taking advantage of this, and you can even get on top of the science vessel. Could take out the science vessel. Actually, really big mistake from JYJ coming out with the science vessel before the irradiate was even ready. Gets the second science vessel as well. Huge play from Queen. Happy to sacrifice these mutas for those 2 important pickles, those first 2 science vessels. This is huge news for Queen going forward. He's in such a world of comfort right now.
Wow, that was so impressive. Queen killing off the first 2 science vessels with just the mutas here, and JYJ gotta be regretting having those 2 science vessels rallied to the front, because that was easy pickings for his opponent. And lurkers are already out here. The transition is in full swing. These mutas are still a threat, though, because we don't have that splash damage yet. JYJ is just in a world of hurt right now. He's going to bring out the lotto ships, spin the wheel, and see what he can get done here, because he is in such a rough position. Defending these very well, keeping them hidden for now. The mutas are not in position, but the lurkers are here in the main. They're ready for a drop to come in, and they're ready to hop through that Nidus in case the drop hits that third base as well.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a little bit of a 2-pronged attack. Here come the dropships into the main base while the Bioforce makes its way down to the 3rd location as well. Lurkers are going to start burrowing in fairly decent position, but actually spread out enough for the bio units to do a decent concave and take out some of them. We'll be able to maybe get the Evo chamber if he shuffles around to the other side of this space. Yeah, he could have maybe killed the Evo chamber here with a little bit more micro, but looks like Queen's not going to allow that to happen. Going to get right on top of these dropships as well on the exit. Maybe killing both of these dropships as well, preventing any follow-up attacks as well into the main base. Kind of like dashing any hopes that JYJ had of sniping some of these key tech buildings to limit the potency of the Zerg force going forward. So it could be really tough for JYJ now, taking this 3rd base on location. Meanwhile, Queen taking this 4th base in the top right as well. So interestingly enough, I think there is a small hope for JYJ. If he can get this gas online, maybe somehow he can stabilize in the mid to late phase, but I don't really like his chances. I really like Queen's position right now. He's got everything going for him, and look at all these macro hatcheries coming online for him as well. He's gonna have so much lava, so much production, as long as he doesn't mess up his positional play with how he controls his army going forward, as long as he can keep trading well. Now going into this lurker, ling, defiler, hydra style of play, it's gonna be so cost efficient for him, and he still has some mutas out as well. So once he starts plaguing these vessels as well, those units are going to become even more relevant and picking up a lot of units easily as well going forward here. So
yeah, this is get ready for some red marines with that plague on top of them. We're gonna have Plague Hydra here coming forward. Queen, he wants to get a decent plague here to start things off. He's pushing everything back right now. Hydras are shoving up. He's using the Hydras to zone away these science vessels to not allow them to get the Irradiate down on this Defiler. It looks like he will get that down, but the first plague on these science vessels is going to be huge. He gets one of the science vessels as well. And it finally does get that Defiler irradiated, but he's secured himself a very nice position here, holding that high ground in the center right area of the map.
Yeah, controlling these high ground peninsulas is going to be crucial to whoever's going to control the flow of the game. And I feel like with Defilers and Hydras, it's going to be extremely difficult for JYJ to challenge these positions. And he's going to have to trade so many units. The only real hope he would have is by navigating around these peninsulas. As you see, this army on the northern flank now moving up to this 4th gas location in the top right, while the main army on the left-hand side is retreating to the west, baiting the force back, but is losing science vessels for his effort, so he needs to kill this base in the top right for his effort here. He's lost quite a few units in distracting Queen on that western flank, but now Queen coming up with some reinforcing units and Defilers to try and save this base is going to be running his units to the other side of that hatchery to try and target that down. Sunken Colony's finishing up just in the nick of time to add some DPS for these forces, but not quite able to save this hatchery in time. JYJ able to snipe the hatchery crucially here.
That was a great snipe by JYJ, just right-clicking down the hatch. Manages to clear that out. Looks like the Lurker here going to finish that Marine off. But another force making its way over to the top right. He may be able to continuously shut down this 4th base, and that might be his win condition here. Keeping the Zerg off of 4 bases, 4 gases, really limits their potency. But not as much when you're going for this Defiler Lurker or Defiler Hydra style. On 3 gases, you can still fight for a very long time. You can still produce an incredibly strong army. And as long as you're landing your plagues, you're going to be able to continue to push the Terran player back. Looks like another science vessel goes down, though. That's not a good sign for JYJ. He's already lost like 4 or 5 science vessels this game. And although he is transitioning now, getting mech going, getting some tanks out on the map, the lack of vessels is really going to hurt him here going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. He's lost so many of these gas units for free as well, and he has got the 3rd gas online at this base, so having negated the 4th gas from Queen for the time being will be some small victory for him to work with. So it's not all bad news for him going forward. He will now start to set up quite a few of these siege tanks on this high ground peninsula on the western flank. Hopefully he can secure some kind of map control to keep Queen at bay while he starts to expand himself. He'll want to take a 4th gas soon as well and really ramp up his production. The only way he's going to win this game if he keeps continuing to grow from this point on. But that's going to be really tough for him because Queen is going to start encroaching on his position very soon and now going to be moving into the middle of the map with these units. Right now, the only thing JYJ's got going for him is being able to force these Defilers to fight out in the open and be as cost efficient as he can with his bio units to buy as much time as possible. He's losing so many of these vessels to these Hydras. He's not really keeping on top of his vessel control this game, losing way too many of these heavy gas units for free. And at this point in the game, you can think of these vessels more as the bulk of your army, and the Marines are really just the support units for those vessels, because the vessels are really going to be the only thing that's going to be killing these Lurkers, killing these Defilers, which are the crucial backbone to the Zerg composition, which are going to be causing the most cost deficiency in your trades. So really, you need to be keeping these vessels alive at all costs, using the Marines as sacrificial lambs, and he hasn't really been doing a great job of that. It's JYJ, so he needs to be much more careful with these heavy gas units.
Here comes the push forward. Queen gonna set up some Dark Swarms here. Doesn't have the energy upgrade on that Defiler, but quickly consumes a Hydra and gets a nice plague there on those red Marines, adding some more redness to their color. Coming down this ramp, unfortunately, at a time when the Marines were just happened to be heading up here towards the top right. He's gonna kill this hatchery. Lings and lurkers will come up to kill this army here, but again, shutting down another base for Queen. That 5th gas has to be stopped here. You cannot allow this 5th gas to come up as a Terran player, unless you're going to be taking the entirety of the bottom left third of the map here and setting up a huge number of tanks. We're already at 3-2 for JYJ, so he's not going to end up being behind in his upgrades. We've got 2 armor done for these lurkers, so that 3rd armor should be on the way, and Ultralisk Cavern I saw was going down as well, so eventually we're going to have this transition. Great positioning here from JYJ, though, with the tanks on that high ground. It's going to be so hard to break through in this area.
Right, definitely will be a lot trickier to move up into that position now. There's a sizable amount of tanks. They're losing more of these vessels, though, is JYJ, unfortunately for him. Another one maybe biting the dust there. There it goes. But yeah, interestingly enough, it looks like JYJ, though, playing whack-a-mole with these bases, sending another contingency up into this northeastern quadrant of the map, and going to be trying to take this down his hatchery yet again. It's kind of crazy that he's getting away with this over and over again. It feels like that meme from like Breaking Bad where Jesse Pinkman's like, I can't keep getting away with it. There's no way you should be letting a Terran player snipe your hatchery over and over again. If you are going to be expanding like this at Zerg, where you're not defending the expansion, you have to double expand in either direction of the map. So he has to be taking the 6 o'clock while taking that expansion. Then he cancels the one that gets attacked. So you can't just expand in a singular direction and not defend it as Zerg. It's a really amateur mistake from Queen there, not trying to double expand if he's not going to defend that expansion appropriately.
Well, I don't know. You think this is a function of the being kind of new to this map? I feel like earlier when he lost the hatchery, the 4th hatchery, it was definitely excusable because I don't think he knew about that pathway that the Marines were able to take in order to attack that base. But now that he's aware of that, I guess there's really no excuse here as to why he's not defending one of these locations or taking a double expansion. Now he's taking 6 o'clock once again. He's going to try and hold that. There's another force moving around the top side, though. Once again, going to attack into this 4th base, and I didn't see much defenses over there. Now ultras are out, though. He should be able to hold on to this. Do not lose this 4th base right now. That would be critical damage. Coming down to attack the 3rd base as well. There's only 1 sunken colony here. Queen a little light on his defenses at a bunch of these locations, and he's going to lose the base down at the 6 o'clock as well. Ultras are out here. He's going to have Dark Swarm to hold on, so he will be able to kill this army and hold on to this base here, but JYJ really making it hard for him, really making him taking him to task here, making him pay attention to so many different locations at the same time. JYJ gonna finally lose this force, and it looks like Queen will stabilize, but again, a 5th base has been denied.
Yeah, Queen right now, though, does have a very scary army. He does have a lot of Ultralisks, so if he could somehow bring this army to bear in a cost-efficient way, he can actually crush JYJ right now. It's also 137 supply to 146, so Queen creeping up on JYJ in supply as well. He does have so many Ultralisks with 5 armor at the moment, so if he can just navigate across the map with these army and somehow get into a good position to get on top of this Terran army, another big play coming down on these vessels with some of that chili sauce, going to be softening those up as well for digestion later on. But he needs to be careful not to bleed off too many of these units, because he needs one big attack with all of these Ultras and Lings come in and just swallow up this Terran army, and he has got enough to do that right now. Queen could win this game right here, right now, if he could just somehow leverage this army appropriately. But it looks like JYJ is going to be spreading himself quite thin across the horizontal axis in the middle of the map. So Queen right now not really confident or sure where he should push his army into. So going to be waiting a little bit now, trying to feel out JYJ and see where he's going to be positioning his army and coming in for a big sandwich later on. Could maybe drawing some of the army to the west side of the map by sending in some Ultras with a Dark Swarm to draw some of the army over. Maybe he can catch this bio force into the southern threshold of the map. If he can isolate that, it's going to be great for him. But he's going to lose this base as well for free in the 6 o'clock base. Queen getting this gas denied over and over again. Needs to be just double expanded expanding constantly, because eventually one of those bases is going to finish and you've got the gas. But he's, unfortunately for him, not able to get that gas going. And now JYJ could run away with the game if Queen's not careful and he allows him to get up a sufficient amount of tanks.
Yeah, that Ultra army you've been talking about. Oh, here comes Amida. He's gonna get a ton of science vessels here. Oh man, so many science vessels going down. I think he got at least 3 to 4 science vessels there. And look, our Ultras are coming up from the south. That army that you were talking about, that huge Ultra army, has been kind of reduced. Dealing some damage at a few of these bases, but not having the huge mass anymore of Ultra to kind of take down JYJ right now in one fell swoop. Ultra's just kind of running forward here and dying in small groups. And Queen still has a lot. He's getting another base up now. He's getting actually 2 bases up, 3 bases at the same time. So finally taking your advice and expanding all over the place. But he can't be losing these Ultras right now. He's going to probably lose all 5 of these Ultras in very quick succession, and this is not the greatest trade. This is not what Queen needs right now in order to win this game, but this is great. Getting some Lings on top of these tanks here at the bottom side. Some of the Lings and Ultras kind of filing in now a little bit haphazardly, but getting on top of the tanks and picking them off, that is a big deal. Reducing that tank count right now is insanely good for Queen, but he needs to save more bases. He needs to keep these bases alive and continue to press this issue here.
Yeah, being able to secure these bases will be huge for Queen going forward, but there will be some time until he's stable. There is a moment of weakness here until he starts getting these additional gases online, that we won't have that many Ultralisks out on the map. If you can keep JYJ back and keep distracting him with these Ling counterattacks, like we see these Lings coming into this base over here, this is just pure distraction techniques here. Keeping JYJ back for as long as possible, harassing him as much as he can, but it's any time that he can, because every second that passes is another second that he's going to get more and more gas to squeeze out more and more Ultralisks. One thing that JYJ's got going for him is this huge fleet of vessels that can fall apart with just a single plague and some mutas, but JYJ's been doing a pretty good job of keeping the majority of those vessels alive despite the plagues and the mutas coming in. So far it looks like this could be JYJ's game if he can just somehow stop Queen from running away with it with these gases. But like we said, now Queen's starting to take more and more of these gas expansions in a much more rapid succession, so we'll be in a much better position with his gas to gas ratio with JYJ. JYJ going to be starting to be mined out, and all these bases now being reduced to just 1 base worth of economy as well soon. So it looks like it could be Queen's game going forward. It's just that right now JYJ has so many vessels, so it could be really tough for Queen to win from here.
Yeah, JYJ being relentless with building these vessels. He's lost so many this game, but he just will not stop making more and more and more. Coming forward here, he's going to try and get a irradiate, but great job with the Scourge to shut that down. He's got couple Ultras here at the bottom left. He's got the Nidus. I'm not sure if it's connected yet. He really needs to keep this base alive. Save this base. A few more of these vessels are going to go down. I'm surprised that we haven't seen any battle cruisers this game. I feel like it would be very strong. And the number of vessels now is at a point where adding on more is probably not going to help you out too much. A attack here into the upper right, 1 Ultra, not going to be enough to hold that off. He needs to send more reinforcements up to that area. The Nidus is going to go down here in the bottom left as well. Oh no, only 1 Ultra popped out. So this base is going to die 100%. And we're getting more pressure into the top right as well. This base is going to be shut down. Where is JYJ at with his minerals? I think he's mined out in the main and natural.
Yeah, he just had to lift off 9 o'clock as well with this Ling counterattack. So both players in a bit of a weird situation right now. There is quite a few siege tanks for JYJ, but it's really tough to call. He's also doing a lot of damage to Queen in the top right as well. He did the nice little eraser trick on those drones and cleaned up that mineral line as well. There was no burrow or anything to deal with that. So yeah, Queen has kind of dried up in his economy now a lot as well. There are some drones coming back up to this top right base to resaturate that. both players in a bit of a state of disarray in terms of their economy. It's kind of a crazy game we've got here. JYJ now going to be starting to land this 9 o'clock to get back up to 2 base worth of production, but he's going to be mined out in his natural third soon, so going to be reduced back down to 1 base worth of economy yet again in the coming minutes. It's kind of a weird game to call right now.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a crazy one, guys. A final game of the night is turning out to be a doozy here. Another great plague on all of these vessels, but we've really halted Hydraless production in this game. No more Hydras have been popping out, so we're not going to see easy pickoffs on these vessels. He's going to have to continue to produce Scourge. Maybe a Mutalisk or two would be a good idea to just cut down a large group of these vessels at the same time. Ling counterattacks, once again, these Ling counterattacks have been keeping Queen alive for kind of an extraordinary amount of time, just keeping JYJ back. There's no defense in the top right, though, and a lot of the gases are now mined out. We're at 20 minutes in. At least the main and natural, maybe the third base as well, is out of gas. So this is struggle right now for Queen. He has the fourth, he has the fifth, which should be mining efficiently here, but he's not really able to produce the mass of Ultra that he was earlier. Tanks are set up at that third or fourth base for JYJ. He's holding on to all these different locations, and he's coming across the map to irradiate everything. Nice job targeting the undematrixed science vessel there. There's still so many vessels. And even when this game gets into like a low money situation with very, very few bases remaining, these vessels are going to continue to pay for themselves and continue to give JYJ an advantage here. This is a lot of Marines moving up towards the top right. Is Queen going to be able to hold on?
It's going to be tough to say. I mean, there's so many vessels still. He can just keep irradiating the defilers over and over again. There is a defiler coming up to this 12 o'clock area to help deal with that, but already being irradiated, so won't be able to come all the way into that expansion to lay down the Dark Swarm. So now the Marines can just run past this Dark Swarm and get all the way in top of that hatchery as well. So probably will kill this expansion as a result. A D-Matrix down on these Marines as well, soaking up the majority of that damage from the Ultra Link coming in from the southern threshold as well. Some radiates also coming down onto those Ultras to soften them up, but a lot of the vessels are going down to the Scourge coming in and trickling in from the lava to the south, so it's going to be reducing that vessel count over and over again. But now Queen down to 69 supply, 65 supply, and dwindling, so is at breaking point here right now. And if he loses this expansion, I don't know how he's going to recover. He does have an expansion coming up at 6, another base being built in the bottom left, but it's a little bit too late. If he keeps getting cracked open like this, I don't know how he's going to keep trading cost efficiently with JYJ, although JYJ is only on 1 base worth of economy right now, so it's really close down to the wire game. But JYJ has the more potent army at the moment, but he is killing the space in the bottom left, so it looks like JYJ can take this game as long as he can just keep the pressure on.
He's keeping the pressure on here very, very well. I don't think the Queen's going to be able to stabilize here. He's got this gas running right now. His minerals and gas are very, very low, though. Tanks are being sent forward. JYJ, the pressure is off of him right now. He's losing more science vessels, though. The number of science vessels that have gone down in the last minute or so is kind of insane. We could see a Defiler holding on for quite a long time down here in the bottom part of the map. A great play can also change the fates here, but Ultra coming in. I don't see a Defiler with this army, but he's going to get on top of a lot of this. A ton of these tanks are going to go down, but look at that. D-Matrix on the tank. The Marines are positioned behind them, and he's going to get down here and I think shut down this base. Queen, he's just about dried up. Nothing left. 62 supply to 111, and JYJ moves down to the bottom center. He kills this hatchery, and that is it, man. There's nothing left for Queen here.
Yeah, it's pretty much all she wrote for Queen. Down to 40 supply. It's no longer a tenable position. You can't really hold on as Zerg. With 60 to 70 supply, with good chokes to hold, you can survive against Terran for quite an inevitable, sorry, for quite like an exponential amount of time. But unfortunately, at this late gamer phase, there's just no way you can keep going as Queen. He's going to become more and more dried up as time goes on. There might be some small skirmishes he can do here and there to maybe buy some time while sneaking out an expansion. But the problem is against a player of JYJ's caliber, he's just going to be scanning the map constantly, always checking for bases going up. You're just not going to catch him unawares like that and be able to get away with just making an expansion for free. So he's going to be really on top of everything from here on out and make sure he secures the win. There's just no way that Queen's going to be able to get any kind of edge in this game going forward. There's no way any base can come up unscouted from him. So it's going to be really tough for Queen, I think, to win this game from here. I think it's almost like a 0.5% chance of winning, even if he played his best game of his life.
The scrappiness of JYJ in this game, really, really impressive. He's constantly fighting, constantly trading with the Zerg player and beating him down slowly over time. An Ultralist coming from both sides here. Actually, a pretty decent surround of Ultra. This is everything that Queen has left, though. He's going to try and get the best connections possible, microing each of these units to his... absolutely microing his heart out right now against this, but there's another group of Marine and Medic coming up. Fire Bats in large number going to be pushing all of this back, and yeah, I think Queen has realized that he's just not going to be able to hold on. He's trying his absolute best to get the victory for his Zerg brethren, but the Fire Bats burning down these Ultras will be taking out this base, and JYJ taking it home here. The bell has rung, the game is over. Queen taps out, and JYJ takes it home for the Terran race. All right, here we are to wrap up with the point rankings. As you can see, Terran taking the lead now here over Protoss and Zerg, but still a very tight formation here in week number 3. A lot of room to move for all sides here with still 5 more weeks remaining in this season. Let's talk a little bit about the Terran on these new maps first.
Yeah, so we got like Tempest with this high ground over the gas. As we saw earlier, the Zerg player was kind of forced to make a sunken just to defend that gas. Not only are you worried about the siege tanks on the high ground like in the early days of Lost Temple, but it's even close enough to the cliff that vultures could snipe the drones while they're mining the gas as well. Really an unfortunate position for, like, say, Zergs to have to deal with something like that. So I'm not too sure how I feel about some of these maps in terms of that, but none of them really seem too Terran favored overall, I don't think. So we'll have to analyze the games a bit more going forward. But it looks like with the likes of Sark, the way he's been playing recently, the Terrans look quite strong in this KCM season going forward, because they've got a really strong player in Sark, at least in the most recent weeks. If he continues that kind of trend going forward, they've got another powerful tool in their arsenal on some of these newer maps. They, like you say, are kind of weaker to Terran in the earlier stages, but once they start to figure out these maps more in the coming weeks, I feel like they're going to just skyrocket on this board potentially.
Yeah, generally speaking, Terran tends to be the weakest on newer maps, just because there are so many timings and defensive things to figure out, building positionings and that sort of thing, but they're already dominating here in this fresh map pool, so it's a little bit worrisome. I'm not sure how it's going to be going forward, if that was just kind of a one-off week for Sok, where he just kind of went into God mode there and carried the Terran squad, but or if he's going to continue to put up numbers like he did in week number 2. But it is a little troubling here. We'll see how Terran does going forward. There may be some changes to the map pool, maybe some last minute balances. I probably would like to see the high ground over the natural and Tempest taken out. It's kind of a return to an old style of map making that I'm not in favor of, but that remains to be seen. We'll see how the map makers and the tournament organizers here in both KCM and ASL decide to change things up, because there is obviously changes that are made to maps depending on how they play out in the first few weeks, at least up until the ASL starts. We can still see some of those changes. So this is a good testing ground for them. We're getting some good information. We're getting those games in to figure out what the balance of the map, these new maps, is going to be, and then we'll see changes going forward. But that's all for Terran. What about Zerg, man? Zerg has been struggling here. I feel like not performing totally at their best.
Right, yeah, they definitely seem to be a little bit lackluster in their performance. That's not to say that these aren't good players. There certainly are good players, and they certainly are showing us good games. But these are very good Zerg players, and they've not been showing us their A game by any stretch of the word. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate in that regard. I really did expect a much stronger showing here, especially from Queen. I feel like he could have maybe taken that game in the end. There was a little bit uncharacteristic of him to let that one slip through his fingers. I feel is really amateur mistakes from him as well. Like I can't believe he was only trying to expand with one hatchery at a time when he had like 1,000 minerals in the bank. It's like, just double expand. Like, there's just no reason not to double expand, or at least defend the expansion that you're only expanding to. Like, do one or the other. You can't do neither of those things, because you're just going to put yourself into a devastating position against any Terran that's even remotely competent, and someone of his caliber is definitely competent. So big blunder from Queen there. Would have liked to see a much more solid performance from him. But besides that, maybe there is some still glimmer of hope here for Zergs. It is still very tight on the board. Like you said earlier, they're all still quite in the pack together, still in the running for it going forward. So over the coming weeks could stabilize and get ahead of Protoss, at least maybe going forward. So still have some hope here for Zerg.
Yeah, we saw Protoss start off very, very strong in the season, starting to kind of fizzle out a little bit here. We saw YSC last week kind of bring things back and give us a glimmer of hope, but this week getting taken down and losing first, not able to put any points on the board. Hopefully we'll see that turn around. But who do they need to bring out? I feel like they need to bring Bisu back into this lineup if they want to stand a chance of taking another win here in KCM.
Maybe, although they might not pick Bisu if they're not having much issue with Zerg, is the only thing. If Protoss have like being a lot more stable in their showing against Zerg recently, there's less reason to bring Bisu out. So they're only really going to be worried about bringing Bisu out if they have any issues with the Zerg lineup. And Zerg, like we just said, haven't really been performing as of late. So until Zerg starts showing a much stronger presence, I feel that we might not be seeing Bisu too much.
Well, with that, guys, week number 3 is over. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for co-casting with me as well, Shun. I know it's been a little bit hectic this week, but we've got it done, and we will get this out to you as soon as possible. All right, guys, this has been your weekly dose of KCM, and I'll see you guys next time.